Chapter 1021 Still not returning here. Fang Yuan's soul left the pure dream reality seeker physique body, he flew towards this mysterious rank 9 immortal GU. The moment they interacted, Fang Yuan felt an immeasurable suction force. This immortal GU, named Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU by Spectral Soul, seemed to be eager for a soul already. Fang Yuan's soul entered it, it was as if he had fallen into the whirlpools of falling heavenly river. At once, his soul was sucked in by the immortal GU, he was blending into it at an unbelievable speed. Fang Yuan could not think, he felt that he was inside darkness that was unfathomably deep. This darkness was not cold, it was warm. It was like he had gone back into his mother's womb, he was like a fetus inside amniotic fluid. And outside, after Fang Yuan's soul entered the rank 9 immortal GU, the sky rumbled loudly, it seemed furious but helpless at the same time. Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU began to shine brightly. First, there was white light, from pale transparent light to pure white light, and finally to thick milky white light. Next, there was a hint of red inside the white light. The red quickly spread, turning the light into pale pink, before it turned pinkish red, and finally, bright red like fire. After red light, it turned into orange. After orange, it turned into yellow. Like the colors of the rainbow, it continued changing, until finally, the light became black. Inside the black-colored light, Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU twitched continuously, from the size of a thumb, it expanded to the size of a basin. Inside this dark ball, a fetus was shining brightly in rainbow light, it could vaguely be seen. Life force was gathering, it was growing and becoming stronger. White fog started to surround it. The temperature of the surroundings fell rapidly, fog turned into frost, covering the surface of the ball. Next, lightning shot out, surrounding the ball, forming a web of lightning. Lightning crackled as sparks were created. The sparks fell on the frost and did not extinguish, instead, the frost started burning. The frost turned into chi that surrounded the ball. Green patterns slowly appeared on the surface of the ball. Soon, they turned from phantom to solid, becoming countless vines and twigs. The twigs were wilted, while the leaves were green and lively. Soon, fruits began to grow around these leaves. These purple fruits emitted a fragrant smell. But the surface of the fruits were very ugly, there were many holes in them, like they were rotten. Many changes occurred, they were unimaginable. On the surface, they looked random and abrupt, but if one observed carefully, they seemed to contain the profoundness of heaven and earth. As the changes continued to occur, the fetus inside the ball grew larger. Eventually, after a total of 81 changes, the ball turned into mud. As the fetus inside was at its largest, a baby was formed, stretching his 4 limbs. At once, the ball that surrounded him cracked, the baby was born. This baby had a lively expression, his eyes were shining like stars, he had pale and fair skin, his limbs were chubby, his face was rosy, cute and delicate, immortal aura was oozing from him. A formless force surrounded his entire body, it protected him from damage, he was safe and sound. The baby gradually landed on the ground. During this process, he grew rapidly. From the time of his birth to when he was 2 to 3 years old physically, only a breath of time had passed. 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12 years old when his legs landed on the ground, he was already a 16-year-old young lad. His skin was still white, but it was not pale white, nor a feminine pinkish white, it was a white that was clean and simple. His long hair was black and shiny, extending to his waist. His body was slightly thin, there was no excess flesh on his entire body. The bridge of his nose was high, the most attractive thing were his eyes. The starlight that was shining in his eyes had already become muted, they turned dark and deep like an abyss. His lips were quite rich, giving off a rosy and healthy glow. Right now, they were tightly pursed together, showing his mental state of being determined and unwavering. This youngster was naturally Fang Yuan. At this moment, he opened his eyes, looking at his young body, he was shocked, an entirely new body. The body that was created by Spectral Soul and the entirety of Shadow Sect, after countless years of hard work and effort, it was not as simple as it seemed. Regarding its traits, Fang Yuan had to explore further. But simply at this moment, Fang Yuan's first feeling was that this body was incomparably suited for his soul. In comparison, his previous immortal zombie body was like clothing made from twigs and leaves, and this new body was made with soft silk. Everything was different now. Fang Yuan felt that he had walked out of the darkness, he saw blue skies and white clouds, his perspective was broadened. This is the use of the Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU that Spectral Soul had painstakingly created. Revival. And having rank 6 cultivation level upon revival. Fang Yuan's GU immortal aura was not fake. He had made the right gamble. Even though he did not know what the use of this immortal GU was, seeing spectral soul float towards the immortal GU personally, Fang Yuan knew he could do the same. As he thought about these things, Fang Yuan directed his gaze towards the sky. There, spectral soul was still in the dream realm. This was within Fang Yuan's expectations. After all, spectral soul's condition was really terrible. And Ying Wuxia's body was no longer controlled by Fang Yuan's soul, it had already shut its eyes, floating in the air, unmoving. Fang Yuan called out, "Come back." Instantly, a large number of GU worms flew out of Ying Wuxia's body. Earlier, Fang Yuan's soul had entered the sovereign immortal fetus GU, all of the GU worms with him had stayed inside the pure dream reality seeker physique body. Now, Fang Yuan called out and retrieved these GU worms. Attitude Immortal GU, Unravel Mystery Immortal GU, Change Soul Immortal GU, and other Soul Path and Dream Path Mortal GU. Ying Wuxie still has a number of Dream Path Immortal GU on his body, how can I retrieve them? Fang Yuan frowned, feeling troubled. He had used Change Soul earlier, using Attitude GU to disguise himself and use the Immortal Killer move Lead Soul into Dream. Even though he succeeded in affecting Spectral Soul, the wills inside these Dream Path GU worms had already reacted, Fang Yuan could not move them anymore. Not only the Immortal GU in his body, Ying Wuxia's body itself has a lot of value for research. Fang Yuan suddenly turned around, seeing an immortal zombie approach him with an imposing demeanor. Fang Yuan's gaze flickered, his lips curled into a smile, thinking, you are finally here. It was himself, or more accurately, it was Ying Wuxia's soul, who was manipulating Fang Yuan's former immortal zombie body. At this moment, Fang Yuan had just obtained a new body, he was still adapting, the number of GU worms with him could not compare to the immortal zombie body. But Fang Yuan was not nervous, he waited for Ying Wuxie to arrive. You are. Ying Wuxie hesitated, he slowly approached Fang Yuan, assessing him closely. Fang Yuan purposely pretended to be close to him, placing his arms behind his back and saying, Wuxie, I have succeeded. Fang Yuan's soul has already been completely destroyed. No, you are not my main body. If you are, with my relationship as a split soul, how can I feel no connection? Ying Wuxia's eyes shined with bright light, he reacted and exposed Fang Yuan's true identity. Oh, ghostly concealment became a flaw instead. But if I could use familiar face, I should have been able to deceive him. Fang Yuan thought while rubbing his chin, he couldn't help but laugh. He was so casual, a confident light flickered in his eyes, as if he was in control of the situation. You are Fang Yuan. Ying Wuxie understood, he gritted his teeth until they were making sounds, he was so angry he felt he was burning up. His anger was understandable, they had worked so hard, planning for countless years before seeing the fruits of their labor. But Fang Yuan actually snatched it from them now. Ying Wuxie shouted loudly, pouncing towards Fang Yuan, he wanted to hack him into 1,000,000 pieces. They were 100 steps away from each other, Fang Yuan showed a smile like his scheme had succeeded. Ying Wuxie, don't you find it strange? Fixed immortal travel is my immortal GU, how could you activate it? Ying Wuxia's expression froze. Back then, he was anxious and used it subconsciously, he did not consider that point. Now that he was reminded by Fang Yuan, he knew something was amiss, his momentum was interrupted. You could use fixed immortal travel because I lent it to you. I wanted you to rush here. Most of my accumulations are still in this body. Fang Yuan said. Since he knew that he was going to change souls with Ying Wuxie, with his personality and methods, why would he not set up some arrangements? Firstly, Fang Yuan concealed a huge amount of his fake will inside his mind. Because of this, when Ying Wuxie woke up, he wanted to rush back and ignored many things that did not seem right. This was like what Mo Yao's fake will did to Fang Yuan in Imperial Court Blessed Land. Secondly, Fang Yuan injected some special will into his GU worms. What were special wills? In 88 Truyong Building, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had left behind a vast number of special wills. He set up some specific situations and they would activate accordingly. Just like now, Fang Yuan looked at Ying Wuxie approaching, as the smile on his face grew, he called out, still not returning here. Swoosh, a large number of GU worms flew out, they were mostly mortal GU, but there were immortal GU mixed in them. Like birds flying back to their nests, they entered Fang Yuan's embrace. Ying Wuxie stared with wide-opened eyes, immensely shocked. At that moment, he was all alone, without anything at his disposal. In his body, only Spring-Autumn Cicada was left, and he could not activate it. The situation on both sides flipped. Fang Yuan's arrangement was like this. As long as Ying Wuxie brought Fang Yuan's body back to Yitian Mountain, and heard someone call out, "Still not returning here," these GU worms would fly out and go to that person. These GU worms were originally Fang Yuan's, now that they returned, they could be used at will, just like before. Back then, Fang Yuan did not know about the use of sovereign immortal fetus GU, he could not predict that he would revive and obtain a new body. He was worried that it might not be appropriate for him to use Ying Wuxie's GU worms, unexpected surprises could easily occur. He needed his own GU worms to increase his battle strength at the crucial moment. Of course, the special will that Fang Yuan injected was not so simple. Once the time limit was exceeded, these GU worms, no matter if they were mortal or immortal, would self-destruct. Enemies were often the best teachers. Fang Yuan had suffered under the influence of Mo Yao's fake will and Giant Sun's special will, how could he not learn from them? Waving his hand, Fang Yuan easily sent Ying Wuxie flying. Everything is over. He walked to Ying Wuxie, looking at the Fang Yuan in front of him, he sighed with complex emotions. Ying Wuxie felt like he was in an icy river, he was chilled to the bones. Chapter 1022, It Was All Heaven's Will. Book 5, Demon King's Domination. Everything is over. Looking at Ying Wuxie under his feet, Fang Yuan sighed. After realizing he himself had fallen to a scheme, Ying Wuxie's heart was filled with ice-cold despair, he gave up completely. He knew he was thoroughly defeated and had no chance of turning around the situation. However, a change occurred right at this moment. Bam! A soft explosion erupted. Ying Wuxie's soul, as well as Fang Yuan's immortal zombie body, had instantly self-detonated. The immortal zombie body's Tao marks, as well as Ying Wuxie's soul, turned into fuel for Spring Autumn Cicada. Spring Autumn Cicada activated. A light flashed in Fang Yuan's eyes. Spring Autumn Cicada once again entered the river of time. Fang Yuan was pale with shock. What's going on? What the hell is going on? Spring Autumn Cicada is filled with my special will, how could it be activated by Ying Wuxie? No, based on his expression, he already had no more will to resist. How could he activate my Spring Autumn Cicada? Could it be that he was only acting? Spring Autumn Cicada is my possession, I took extra precautions with the special will as well, how could it be activated by Ying Wuxie? Fang Yuan was filled with shock and fright, as well as questions. The questions he had puzzled him. Standing on the same spot, Fang Yuan did not move, like a stone statue. The change had occurred too suddenly. Soon, his forehead was filled with cold sweat. What to do? What can I do? Fang Yuan had used Spring Autumn Cicada to turn around many situations, making comebacks and escaping from multiple dangerous scenarios. However, at this moment, facing someone else using Spring Autumn Cicada, he found that he had no method to deal with it. His time path accumulation was indeed too weak. Without Spring Autumn Cicada, he almost had no foundation in this aspect. Did I miscalculate? What else is there that I did not consider? Fang Yuan squinted, a drop of cold sweat slipping down from his forehead to his eyes, and then down across his face. Unable to find any answers, Fang Yuan shook his head and sighed. Nothing can be done about it, I already did my utmost. If Fang Yuan had not switched souls according to Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's instructions, he would have utterly lost, with no chance to make a comeback. He simply could not have reached his current position. Could it be that because I did not follow Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's intention to destroy Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU, this change occurred? Spring Autumn Cicada has not recovered, its activation now can only result in death. No, that's not right. Fang Yuan suddenly thought of a remaining arrangement created by Shadow Sect. That was the ghost face and the red lotus in the river of time. In an instant, a chill spread all over his body and his hair stood on end. Be prepared for the worst in every situation. If he succeeds in rebirth, what change will occur on my end? Right as Fang Yuan was thinking, he felt his vision starting to turn blurry. No, it was not his vision turning blurry. It was the whole world turning blurry under the strength of time path. Because of Ying Wuxie's rebirth, everything was changing. Whoosh! Ying Wuxie quickly reacted, exclaiming in shock, This is the river of time. How could this be? How did the Spring Autumn Cicada activate? How can my consciousness replace Fang Yuan's consciousness in the Spring Autumn Cicada? He had no fewer questions than Fang Yuan. Although he was the person concerned, he had reached the river of time without knowing anything about how it happened. In the river of time, waves surged. A huge wave ruthlessly crashed towards Spring Autumn Cicada. Ying Wuxie's will immediately became panicked, screaming in fear. Spring Autumn Cicada was extremely weak, If it was struck by this wave, it had no possibility of surviving. So it was like this. A sigh emerged during this moment of crisis. From the river of time floated out a ghost face. Its expression was bitter as it opened its mouth wide and spat out a red lotus. The red lotus opened up and obstructed the fatal wave. Afterwards, a formless suction force carried Spring Autumn Cicada, which contained Ying Wuxia's will, to the center of the red lotus. In an instant, Ying Wuxia's will had entered a dark red space. In this space, another will in spectral soul demon Venerable's appearance was sitting cross-legged in midair, smiling bitterly at him. Our main body actually left you behind as a last resort in the river of time. Ying Wuxia's will was stunned for a moment before he immediately asked joyfully. Spectral soul demon Venerables will nodded, then shook his head. You can also be considered a split soul of the main body, you should have remembered me. But unfortunately, because of the pure dream reality seeker physique, your memories dissipated. Sigh, nothing can be done about it, you think I was willing. Ying Wuxia was extremely anxious. Also, what is going on? I had been schemed against by Fang Yuan and landed in his hands, I thought my death was certain. Why would I appear in the river of time? Also, I clearly did not use Spring Autumn Cicada, so why did it suddenly activate? Spectral soul demon Venerables will heaved a long sigh. I watched the whole series of events from inside this Red Lotus true inheritance and just came to a realization. You could enter here because Heaven's will helped you. Spring Autumn Cicada was also activated by Heaven's will. What? Ying Wuxia almost collapsed from shock. This was beyond his wildest imagination. If it were not the genuine will of spectral soul in front of him, Ying Wuxia would absolutely not have believed this fact. Hasn't Heaven's will always been making difficulties for us? How could it suddenly help us? Ying Wuxia asked. Your memories have already completely dissipated, you lack my knowledge. Heaven's will never made things difficult for us out of dislike. It also never helped us out of pity. The way of heaven is to be impartial, it is to take away surpluses while replenishing deficits. So all things are in balance and mutually restrict each other. As such, almost all fierce beasts have their natural enemies, and even rank 9 Venerables have limited lifespan. Spectral soul demon Venerables will pause for a moment before continuing, and the way of humans is exactly the opposite of the way of heaven, it is to reduce the deficits and build up the surpluses. An expert will want to become even stronger. The rich would want to become richer. A beauty would want to become more beautiful. Those who have found longevity will want to obtain eternal life. Human avarice knows no bound, it will never be satisfied and is opposed to Heaven's will. I understand a little now. Heaven's will helped me because I failed. Fang Yuan has become a complete otherworldly demon and has already broken free of restrictions. If he is left unchecked, it will greatly damage the balance of heaven and earth. So Heaven's will shifted its target and wants to use me to deal with him and not let his plan succeed. But how could Heaven's will activate Spring Autumn Cicada? This immortal GU is clearly refined by Fang Yuan. Ying Wuxia was puzzled about this. Spectral soul demon Venerables will replied. Sigh. This is an action by Heaven's will. I also realized it just earlier. When Fang Yuan obtained Spring Autumn Cicada, it was all arranged by Heaven's will. Heaven's will had already chosen him as a tool, letting him rebirth and destroy our main body's plan. Now that I think about the information given by Bai Ningbing earlier, a place where Fang Yuan performed particularly out of the ordinary was at Qingmao Mountain. Although his aptitude was not good, his path had been smooth sailing, and at every urgent moment, he would make the wisest choice, obtaining the greatest benefits. Qingmao Mountain, Three Kings Blessed Land, Imperial Court Blessed Land, Yitian Mountain all along the way, he clearly has not used Spring Autumn Cicada just once. Spring Autumn Cicada is only rank 6, it has a failure rate. But he actually succeeded time after time. Besides the previous time where we helped him, he did not fail even once in all his other attempts. And bear in mind that Spring Autumn Cicada lowers his luck. This is probably all because Heaven's will was helping him in secret, which allowed him to rise from immortal to a GU immortal in a handful of years, causing him to draw the attention of our main body and be chosen as a tool to deal with Heaven's will. Ying Wuxia was gobsmacked. Wait, you are saying? Spectral souls will nodded. Right. This time, our main body failed primarily because of Fang Yuan. Our main body wanted to use Fang Yuan as a tool. But in fact, Fang Yuan was already a tool of Heaven's will. Regardless of how many times Fang Yuan underwent rebirth, before his first rebirth, our main body had likely already succeeded. Not only did we refine Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU, we might have even reached a heaven-defying level. Precisely because of this, Heaven's will did not stint on helping Fang Yuan, letting him rebirth and arrive in the past to destroy our main body's plan. Fang Yuan is quite an interesting character. He is an otherworldly demon, so he has the qualifications to rebirth and change the past. Ordinary people, no matter how superior they are, cannot escape the decree of fate. However, he is not a complete otherworldly demon, so he could still be influenced and manipulated by heaven's will. He thought he was the one to refine Spring-Autumn Cicada and use it, but in fact that was never the case. This trump card, Spring-Autumn Cicada, was already infused with heaven's will. It is clear this arrangement had already started the moment Fang Yuan obtained Spring-Autumn Cicada. But he was deceived by heaven's will and never felt anything wrong. After all, Spring-Autumn Cicada can only carry a portion of will when traveling to the past. And wills are inferior to souls, they can very easily be influenced. It is like right now, I want to impart all my memories and knowledge to you, but unfortunately your will can only bear very little. For a moment, Ying Wuxia's mouth was wide open, unable to say anything. The waves of the river of time unceasingly crashed against the red lotus. Petals scattered along with the waves. Soon, only the innermost center of the flower was remaining. You don't have much time. Spectral soul demon Venerables will sighed and continued. Fang Yuan is an otherworldly demon, heavens will try to influence him as much as possible, but in the end, he followed his own mind's inner desires and chose to seize sovereign immortal fetus Gu, instead of destroying it. As such, he is like a chess piece who no longer is restricted by the rules of chess. Heaven's will naturally would not tolerate such an existence, so it activated Spring-Autumn Cicada to use you in the process of dealing with Fang Yuan. But heaven's will is not going to let you regain sovereign immortal fetus Gu after you rebirth. So, after you rebirth, you would likely not have any easy opportunities to change the overall situation. Don't be impatient and ruin this final chance. Ying Wuxie asked. Then what should I do? Now, Zombie Alliance is already annihilated, Shadow Sect is also destroyed, even my main body is in a dangerous situation. But Shadow Sect's immortals have all left behind some arrangements for the future. You can use these to re-establish Shadow Sect. Fate is hard to defy, but luck can be exploited. The power from Northern Plains Longevity Heaven can be used. On Central Continent's side, there are also hidden forces which have not been targeted by the 10 great ancient sects. Your will is limited, knowing this much is already your maximum. Use these to re-establish Shadow Sect and save our main body. Most crucially, you need to inform our main body of this important information. Because when you rebirth, both I and this Red Lotus true inheritance will also change, and I won't remember these things. At that time, you will be the only person who knows. Remember, a tall tree is the first to face destruction, soil that is nearest to the water will be the first to be swept away by the currents. Our previous action of hiding and accumulating power to deal with heaven's will was correct. Since we succeeded once, then we can succeed a second time. Take care of yourself. Chapter 1023, Ying Wuxie Rebirths. The sound of the wind was blowing intensely, as, Fang Yuan, who was still flying, jolted to awareness, he blurted out, I was reborn. Spring-Autumn Cicada is amazing indeed. Worthy of Red Lotus Demon Venerable's vital immortal Gu. What time is it now? Ying Wuxie stopped moving, he looked around, realizing that he was on the way to Yitian Mountain. At this moment, he was less than 10,000 li away from his destination. Fang Yuan purposely lent me fixed immortal travel so that I could get to him, he would then take his Gu worms back and obtain victory. But he did not expect that he was Heaven's will's tool to begin with, the Spring-Autumn Cicada that he had was controlled by Heaven's will all along. Now that I have been reborn, I know the appearance of Yitian Mountain scenery clearly. I can use fixed immortal travel to teleport there directly. I can deal with Fang Yuan and take revenge. Thinking of this, Ying Wuxie shook his head rapidly. Damn it, Fang Yuan's fake will affected my judgment again. Ying Wuxie gritted his teeth. Heaven's will truly has ill intentions, even if I rush over now. Fang Yuan has already used sovereign immortal fetus Gu, he is weakened at most, all I can do is injure him. What a pity, if I return to the time when I just escaped from the dream realm, I would be able to turn this around. HMPH, but Heaven's will would not allow that, it does not want to see my main body obtain sovereign immortal fetus Gu. Since the outcome is already decided, I should follow the instructions of my main body and retreat. Heaven's will wants us to fight, how can I let its scheme succeed? Anyone who can achieve great things must be able to endure the most unbearable things. I do not need to deal with Fang Yuan, he can draw the attention of Heaven's will. In the future, if he is still alive, I will use him as the material to refine sovereign immortal fetus Gu again, I can save a lot of time and effort in that case. I need to rebuild Shadow Sect, this is definitely not the end. I can make use of Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lu Lan, but I cannot let them meet Fang Yuan. Since he knew about the fake will, he was on guard against it. Ying Wuxie escaped from Fang Yuan's scheme. He took a final look at Yitian Mountain. Anger, hatred, and anticipation were flickering in his eyes. At this distance, he could see that Yitian Mountain was in rubble. The despicable thief Fang Yuan, the one who took the fruits of his labor, was definitely still there. But he could not go there now. The most important thing was the big picture. Ying Wuxie gritted his teeth, turning around and leaving. Why has Ying Wuxie not come here yet? Fang Yuan waited for a long time, his heart sank to rock bottom. This means he saw through my arrangements and left my control. Fang Yuan was frowning deeper. Although he did not know what happened, he did not know the truth of spring-autumn cicada with the memories of the previous life gone, but Fang Yuan knew one thing clearly, he was in quite a pinch. If Ying Wuxie does not come here, the special will that I placed in my GU worms will not activate. After the time limit, these GU worms will self-detonate. I need to get to Ying Wuxie as soon as possible, suppressing or convincing Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lu Lan to subdue him with me. Fang Yuan still had attitude GU, this was the best evidence to convince He Lu Lan. As for Tai Bai Yunsheng, it was even easier. After spending so much time together, he just needed to reveal some details to convince him. Fang Yuan inspected his GU worms. He had regained control of the GU worms that he brought after using Change Soul. The highest ranking one was the legendary Attitude Immortal GU. Other than that, he had the Wisdom Path Immortal GU Unravel Mystery, and the Soul Path Immortal GU Change Soul. As for the others, they were all Dream Path and Soul Path Mortal GU, they were not worth mentioning. Fang Yuan frowned deeply. Among them, there was no movement type GU worm. Do I need to chase after Ying Wuxie, who has fixed immortal travel, on foot? Or maybe I can subdue the Dream Path GU worms on Ying Wuxie's body first. These GU worms include movement type GU worms. But inside these GU, there was none of Fang Yuan's will. Thus, Fang Yuan could not subdue them easily like Unravel Mystery and Change Soul. To use them, he might need to use Attitude GU to deceive them. But he had already deceived them once. Fang Yuan felt little confidence in succeeding a second time. But I have no choice, I must try. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan subconsciously raised his head, looking at Ying Wuxie's body in the sky. He did not expect that this was the last time he was seeing Ying Wuxie's body. At the next moment, Ying Wuxie's body self-destructed. There was no sound. This was a silent explosion. The result of the explosion was not bloody, it was beautiful and dazzling. The entirety of Ying Wuxie's body turned into layers of dazzling lights. These beautiful lights were shining in the colors of the rainbow, they were extremely beautiful. But looking at this beautiful sight, Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk, he quickly retreated, getting some distance from it. Because he recognized this was a dream realm. This dream realm had manifested externally, it was unfathomably deep, forming right in front of him. Did this happen because I used lead soul into dream on spectral soul? No, definitely not. All of a sudden, why did Ying Wuxie's body self-detonate? And it turned into a dream realm. Fang Yuan sighed inwardly. He did not know that Ying Wuxie's lifespan was only 18 hours. During the 18 hours, Ying Wuxie turned from immortal into a rank 1, rank 2, 3, 4, 7, and rank 8 GU immortal. Every 2 hours, his cultivation level increased by 1 rank. At the final moment, he would even become a rank 9 GU immortal. But once the 18 hours was up, he would self-detonate, turning into a dream realm. He was born from nothing, he was created using immortal GU become real, appearing from a dream realm. It was not strange that he turned into a dream realm. The dream realm created from his detonation expanded rapidly, spreading out. Fang Yuan raced away as fast as he could, he fled for 700 li, until he was out of the dream realm's radius. If he was inside the dream realm, he would be in trouble. Even though Fang Yuan had Unravel Mystery Immortal GU, he did not have enough Mortal GU to use his immortal killer move, Unravel Dream. The dream realm was still spreading, but the speed was decreasing. Fang Yuan could only keep retreating. When he was 1,000 li away from Yitian Mountain, the dream realm stopped expanding. In this way, a giant dream realm that stretched 1,000 li after manifestation appeared in front of Fang Yuan, filling his vision. Fang Yuan's heart jumped. Thankfully, I did not listen to Star Constellation Immortal Venerable at the end and destroy Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU. Otherwise, my soul would be trapped along with Ying Wuxie's body in this giant dream realm until my death. What do I do now? This change severely disrupted Fang Yuan's plans. Ying Wuxia's body was extremely valuable. He had a set of Dream Path GU worms and could use the formidable lead soul into Dream. What Fang Yuan wanted the most was spectral soul. Even though he was in bad condition, if he escaped the dream realm and ended up in Fang Yuan's hands, Fang Yuan could soul search him and obtain lots of secrets, along with a vast amount of cultivation experience. And this huge battlefield, even though it was ravaged by myriad tribulations, some GU Immortals' immortal apertures might be left behind. At the least, life and death blessed land was still around. But now, all of these things were covered by the dream realm. Regardless of whether Fang Yuan had unraveled dream, even if he could use it, how many years would it take him to unravel this dream realm and get to the center of the battlefield? Fang Yuan clenched his fists, looking at the giant dream realm. He sighed helplessly. At this point, there are no other options. I cannot stay here. After such a commotion, southern border GU Immortals are definitely rushing here. Fang Yuan quickly moved according to his memories. He chose the direction where Tai Bai Yunsheng had escaped with his body. Hopefully, my luck is good and I can encounter them. Fang Yuan was not going to succeed. He did not know that after encountering some southern border GU Immortals, Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lulan had already changed directions after the intense battle. He also did not know that using the advantage of rebirth, Ying Wuxie had joined up with Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lulan already. Fang Yuan, you had better explain it properly, otherwise, we will be enemies. He Lulan's expression was dark. She was very rude towards Ying Wuxie. Tai Bai Yunsheng quickly waved his hands. Calm down. I believe Fang Yuan has his reasons, listen to him. Ying Wuxie looked at Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lulan in a sincere manner. I was too anxious, I was hit by his killer move, I did not just end up in the dream realm. Right now, most of my GU worms cannot be used, only by killing him can this killer move be undone. But I saw you use fixed immortal travel. If not for the fact that our locations can be detected with GU worms, I thought you were abandoning us and left southern border yourself. He Lulan spoke quickly, demanding imposingly. That was a desperate move that I was forced to use. You also saw that I failed and suffered heavy injuries when I used fixed immortal travel the first time. Furthermore, why would I abandon you? The situation now is filled with danger, we have to stay united to have a bigger chance of survival. Ying Wuxie said convincingly. He Lulan snorted, she wanted to continue arguing. But Ying Wuxie stopped her from speaking. Enough. We will use fixed immortal travel to leave now. My identity is already exposed, Heavenly Court knows already, who immortal blessed land is not safe, we have to transfer the resources inside. Fang Yuan sprinted rapidly, he did not use any GU worms, but he was fast like a charging horse. After 15 minutes of sprinting, he did not feel any fatigue. Along the way, he realized joyfully, this body might look pale and tender, but it had incredible defense. During his sprint, none of the tree branches that scraped his body left a mark. The sharp rocks on the ground were crushed when he stepped on them, they were no obstruction to him. Furthermore, he had huge strength. By just leaping gently, he could jump for 10 meters of distance. But what made Fang Yuan disappointed was, he did not encounter any traces of Ying Wuxie, Tai Bai Yunsheng, or He Lulan wherever he went. Chapter 1024. Fang Yuan borrows GU. Wind blew wildly past him. Fang Yuan traveled across mountains and rivers, even without using GU worms, his speed was very fast. After he left the range of the tribulations, he no longer saw flat plains, instead, there were mountains and forests. Southern border was full of mountains, this was the special characteristic of the region. After running for so long, without any rest, I felt no fatigue at all. Most importantly, I did not even use a single GU worm. Fang Yuan was starting to feel the uniqueness of this body now. A GU master's body, without using GU worms to modify them like black boar GU and white boar GU, was no different to immortal. Precisely because of the Tao marks in their bodies, GU masters' bodies become extraordinary, filled with unique specialties. My body was created from the rank 9 sovereign immortal fetus GU. It seems that the Tao marks in me are not few in number. At the least, the number of strength path Tao marks surpass my previous body's accumulation. Fang Yuan assessed in his mind. After becoming an immortal zombie, he had also stopped feeling physical fatigue. But if his original body revived, he would definitely need to rest if he tried running like this. Fang Yuan ran in the thick forest, he used both his hands and legs to climb cliffs and steep paths. Fang Yuan was still naked, he was like a white figure dashing through the thick forest. He could see the thick forest clearly in his vision. Even during his sprinting, it was as if time was still, Fang Yuan could easily avoid obstacles. Using a phrase from Earth, this is visual acuity. My visual acuity while moving is superb to the extreme. This is definitely inhuman. My original body could only reach this stage after using GU worm. Rapidly, Fang Yuan ascended to the peak of this mountain. The forest that obscured his vision was gone, his field of vision expanded, he could see everything around him. Wind blew as his long hair swayed behind his back. Fang Yuan took a couple of deep breaths before settling down, his breathing was regular and relaxed, as if the running earlier did not happen. His stamina was unbelievable. Mountain winds blew coldly. Fang Yuan was still naked, without being covered up at all, but he felt no chill. His heartbeat returned to normal. Every time it beat, it was very strong and lively. Fang Yuan looked into the distance. His vision was very good. Looking 10,000 steps away, everything was clear to him. Looking around, Fang Yuan's gaze froze, he stared in focus. He saw traces of battle. It seems that Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lu Lan carried my body and encountered GU Immortals here, they had a fight. Fang Yuan jumped down from a mountain peak. With a loud bang, he landed on a rock 10 meters below. He was uninjured, even his legs felt no numbness. The rock below him, however, was covered in spider web-like cracks. Fang Yuan's eyes shined, he began experimenting. The distance between him and the ground increased. From 10 meters to 15 meters, to 25 meters, and to 40 meters. Using examples from Earth, 15 meters was the height of a 5-story building. 40 meters was a tall building, a lighthouse. He was not at his limit yet, the distance increased to 160 meters. At this point, Fang Yuan felt his feet turning numb. His guts were huge, several times, he used other areas of his body to land. His chest hit the ground, his back hit the ground, he was able to create holes in the mountain rocks. Fang Yuan stood up from the holes, completely intact. In fact, the numb feeling felt great. Breathing in deeply, Fang Yuan jumped down again. This time, he was at 180 meters. This height was not a problem for Fang Yuan, but the point was, he was pointing his head downwards. Bam! With a loud sound, Fang Yuan's entire head was buried into the rock. Propping himself up, he pulled his head out of the rock. The skull was the hardest part of the body, but Fang Yuan felt something. His skull was numb, and he felt a little dizzy. But this dizziness only lasted for 3 breaths of time, and it was very mild. With a gust of cool breeze, it was gone. Fang Yuan touched his head and inspected his body. He was completely intact, he did not even lose a single strand of hair. He was good as new. Fang Yuan tried to pull his hair, he found out that his hair was very durable, he had to use a lot of strength to pull out one strand. This hair was thicker than a normal person's hair, it was black and shiny, resembling a thin steel wire. Pulling it further, it did not break, it was extremely durable. Fang Yuan thought it over, he tied this hair around his wrist, turning several rounds before tightening it. This hair could not be lost, if someone with ill intentions took it, it was a useful thing for deductions. Fang Yuan ran towards the area with traces of battle, while jumping down from mountain cliffs and testing his limits. The height continued to increase, from 180 meters, he reached 250 meters. At this point, Fang Yuan felt pain, but it was not unbearable yet. Eventually, after 330 meters, Fang Yuan stopped his experiment. From this height, he could already feel evident pain. The area where he landed on was slightly red, there was a slight bruise. 330 meters is not my body's limit. Fang Yuan was shocked. This height was terrifying, even the Eiffel Tower on Earth was only 300 meters tall. With just this body, without using a single defensive GU, I can reach this level. Even GU Immortals, with just their bodies alone, it is not common to reach this level, right? It seems that among the Tao marks that I have, there are a lot of defensive properties. Realizing this, Fang Yuan was more assured. He had no defensive immortal GU now, he only had Unravel Mystery, Change Soul, and Attitude GU. Arriving at the location of the battle traces, Fang Yuan squatted down and investigated. It seems to be them. Soon, Fang Yuan stood up, frowning. Without investigative GU worms, it was very troublesome, Fang Yuan could not be certain. But he knew that he had to continue chasing them. There is not much time left. He had no time to check his own abilities, the earlier experiment was only due to convenience, Fang Yuan continued pursuing them. Soon, he found the second and third traces of them. Fang Yuan followed these traces and slowly changed his direction. Battles between GU Immortals usually happened in the sky. There were few traces left on the ground. And because Fang Yuan could not fly, it was hard for him to track them. As time passed, Fang Yuan's heart sank to rock bottom. Suddenly, a figure descended from the sky like a comet. With a loud crash, he landed in front of Fang Yuan. Fire spread everywhere, burning all of the surrounding trees. Who is it? Fang Yuan frowned, his eyes shined as he shouted coldly. I am Huo Kongdong, did you come from Yitian Mountain? The person was burning in flames, his attitude was not friendly. Fang Yuan's expression turned grim, Change Soul Immortal Gu's aura burst out as he questioned instead of answering. You came at a good time, just now when you were flying, did you see any suspicious individuals? Sensing the aura of Change Soul Immortal Gu, he knew that Fang Yuan was not to be trifled with, his demeanor changed. The majority of rank 6 Gu immortals did not have immortal Gu. Even though Huo Kongdong was a lone cultivator, he had already joined Southern Borders Chai clan. Chai clan was a super force. In this battle of Yitian Mountain, Chai clan's Gu immortals died. Chai clan's first supreme elder thus sent an external elder, Gu immortal Huo Kongdong, to investigate the cause. Hearing Fang Yuan's question, Huo Kongdong thought in his mind, suspicious individuals. You are running around here butt naked in broad daylight, you are the most suspicious one. He was silent briefly before answering. There is not a single person within 100 li other than you, sir. Damn it, damn it, Fang Yuan screamed, his expression was twisted and ruthless, he seemed to be bloodthirsty. Next, he clenched his fists as he gritted his teeth, speaking to himself, it seems they have escaped. But even if you escape to the ends of the world, I will find you. I will return this humiliation to you by 100-fold, 1,000-fold. Huo Kongdong saw Fang Yuan like this and had a guess. It seems this person is naked because he was plotted against by someone, he lost many Gu worms and suffered a loss. He has a fierce personality and is furious now, I should be careful. Fang Yuan did not explain anything, but Huo Kongdong had already found an explanation for Fang Yuan in his mind. Furthermore, he did not want to provoke Fang Yuan, it was not worth it to deal with his anger. I did not delve deeply into Yitian Mountain, go and see for yourself. Saying this, Fang Yuan was ready to leave. Hearing this answer, Huo Kongdong was not pleased, he wanted to obstruct Fang Yuan, but Fang Yuan paused in his steps, he asked, wait. You are Huo Kongdong, a member of Chai clan? That's right, Huo Kongdong stared blankly as he answered. Fang Yuan showed an unsightly smile. Good, I am old friends with your 9th Supreme Elder, has he completed his battlefield killer move Myriad Flash Fire? Huo Kongdong quickly replied, 9th Elder is still in seclusion. Hey, he is forced to stay in by his grandfather. Earlier he tried to harass Fairy Yi He. After I settle this matter, I will look for him. Fang Yuan said, stretching out his arm to Huo Kongdong, lend me some Gu worms. Ah, Huo Kongdong was shocked. What, you are a grand Gu immortal, just lend me some mortal Gu, why are you so stingy? Fang Yuan asked impatiently. Huo Kongdong thought, 9th Elder is completing his battlefield killer move, but that is only an excuse to outsiders. The truth is, he did harass Fairy Yi. The other party knows this, he must be friends with him. Even though I joined Chai clan, I am only a lone cultivator and outsider. But 9th Elder is a member of Chai clan, and the grandson of 1st Supreme Elder. If I meet his friend and refuse to lend Gu worms, he would definitely be unhappy with me. Then I'll lend them, they're mortal Gu anyway, they don't cost much. Huo Kongdong took out his Gu worms, handing them to Fang Yuan, asking, I wonder what is your name, brother? I am Dong Fang Shangji. Fang Yuan waved his hand. Huo Kongdong stared as he thought, he is Dong Fang Shangji. He is indeed a notorious friend of 9th Elder, he is famous in Southern Border for being extremely stingy, moreover he is small-minded and would take revenge for minor grievances. But he doesn't look like this. Oh, he has no clothes left, he could only change his appearance. Never mind, I can forget about getting back these Gu worms I lent him. But if I can get this person to leave after lending to him, it would be a blessing. Chapter 1025. Dark Night, Cold Winds. Whoosh. Fang Yuan flew in the sky, like a fireball, his body was burning in flames, a long trail of smoke was behind him, he had quite the striking appearance. The situation earlier was quite dangerous. Fang Yuan met Huo Kongdong, even though he had 3 immortal Gu, and some soul path and dream path mortal Gu, they were not comprehensive, if they fought, he would be at a disadvantage. Even if Fang Yuan wanted to use the immortal killer move and swap souls with Huo Kongdong, he could not. Earlier, when swapping souls with Ying Wuxie, he had already expended a lot of mortal Gu. All of the GU worms with him could not form a full set to use the killer move. But using his superior acting skills, not only did he alleviate the danger, he scammed 4 rank 5 mortal GU from him. In my previous life, I joined the Battle of Yitian Mountain and the huge gambling contest. I witnessed the conflicts between Southern Borders GU Immortals and obtained a lot of information. Thanks to this, I was able to learn about the relationship between Chai Clan's 9th Elder and Dongfang Shangji. I could deceive Huokong Dong just now thanks to Attitude GU. Even though Fang Yuan had the original familiar face, he modified it with Attitude GU as the core, using 1,000 mortal GU for the new version. But he could not use this killer move now. Earlier, against Huokong Dong, he had used Attitude GU solely. Attitude GU's ability is to conceal my true emotions and show a fake attitude, it can make others believe it. Thinking back, Fang Yuan felt that Attitude GU was really useful. Because he used Attitude GU secretly, his acting earlier was flawless. Huokong Dong felt that Fang Yuan was enraged and did not want to provoke him. There was another advantage too, even though Attitude GU was of high rank, it had a low usage requirement. It only expended mental energy. Fang Yuan had just revived, he had little immortal essence, it was far less than his original accumulation. Unfortunately, Attitude GU is not mine, I have to return it to Heilulan eventually. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan felt it was a great pity. Even though he had revived and obtained a new body, his soul was the same as before, it did not change. Earlier, just after he had reborn, he had set a new alliance agreement with Heilulan and Fairy Li Shan. This alliance agreement was very restrictive and did not have any loopholes, it restricted the alliance members in both body and soul. Thus, even though Fang Yuan was in a different body, he could not go against it. But the effect of the alliance agreement should be split into 2 portions. One is in the soul while the other is in the body, I am only considered half an alliance member. Sigh, even so, the harm of going against the agreement is too great, even if it does not affect my body, my soul would not be able to endure it. This body must have quite a lot of wisdom path Dao marks. While he was pondering, Fang Yuan's thoughts shifted as he realized another point. He distinctly remembered. When he had just become an immortal zombie, his mind could not work well, he was like a dying old man whose thinking was very slow. Using wisdom path methods, he managed to overcome this flaw. After obtaining a new body, he could feel his thoughts turning rapidly with just a shift of his mind. Inspiration was bursting out like the water of a fountain. During the process of thinking, thoughts were being produced in larger numbers, like the ripples of waves from the sea. I can finally stop using wisdom path GU worms to replenish the thoughts in my mind. At this moment, Fang Yuan was about to tear up. In the past, he had to use GU worms to generate thoughts and think. But now, with a living body, he could produce large numbers of thoughts, and these thoughts varied greatly. There were malicious thoughts, kind thoughts, longing thoughts, empty thoughts, battle thoughts, evil thoughts, obsessed thoughts. As long as a person is alive, there would be a great variety of thoughts in their mind, this is not strange. But my speed of producing thoughts is much faster than normal. I could sustain even the rate of consumption under the light of wisdom for a long time. Precisely because of this, Fang Yuan predicted that this body had a significant number of wisdom path Dao marks. As to how many, he could not estimate the numbers yet. The clarity of his cognition was unprecedented. Even his former body, before becoming an immortal zombie, was far inferior. Other than wisdom path Dao marks, I also have quite a number of fire path Dao marks. Fang Yuan looked at the flames on his body as bright light flashed in his eyes. The clothing of fire he was wearing was the rank 5 fire cape GU. Once used, it would cause the body to burn in flames, they were harmless but had an elaborate effect, showing an eye-catching appearance. Huokong Dong also used this GU, but his body was covered in flames that were less than a human finger long. But Fang Yuan's flames not only covered his whole body, they were very long, the height of the flames exceeded the forearm of an adult man. Other than Fire Cape GU, Fang Yuan also borrowed a rank 5 Flying Smoke GU. Right now, Fang Yuan was flying in the sky, it was due to Flying Smoke GU. Behind Fang Yuan, thick black smoke billowed out. Most importantly, his speed was so fast that it exceeded the normal limits of Flying Smoke GU, it could match some mortal killer moves. During the process of flying, winds blew wildly as he left the mountains behind. Fang Yuan had an idea in his mind. It seems that not only are there fire path Dao marks, I also have Dao marks suited for flying. He could finally fly. This way, Fang Yuan's flying quasi-Grand Master attainment level could be displayed. Being able to fly meant that he could be very agile in fighting. When humans stood on the ground, they could only move left, right, forward, backward, or jump up and down. But in the sky, they could fly in all directions, evading wherever they wished. This was a qualitative change. His battle strength rose rapidly because of just one GU worm. Of course, Fang Yuan's current battle strength was still very low among GU immortals. If he met other southern border GU immortals, he would need to deceive them using attitude GU. I should try to avoid battles and catch up to Ying Wuxie. I need to expose his identity and join up with He Lulan and Tai Bai Yun Sheng. Fang Yuan planned. Right now, because Yitian Mountain was covered by the huge dream realm, Ying Wuxie would not go there. Fang Yuan's special will would not activate if he went there. After the time limit was up, Fang Yuan's GU worms would self-detonate. But as long as Fang Yuan controlled the situation, it could still be resolved. That was to use He Lulan and Tai Bai Yun Sheng's help to collect GU worms and swap souls again. After using Change Soul, Fang Yuan would return to his original body and mobilize his GU worms, extracting the special will from them. There is a need to explain the relationship between souls, bodies, and thoughts here. With just a body, thoughts could not be produced, the body only provided the mind. The soul produces thoughts, but they could not last, the mind was needed to store them and cause collisions to result in thinking. When GU masters manipulate GU worms, normally speaking, they were using thoughts to control them. Ying Wuxie's soul would produce different thoughts from Fang Yuan's. Thus, he could not use Fang Yuan's GU worms. Time was pressing, Fang Yuan needed to hurry. Being able to fly expanded his field of vision. It was immensely better than searching on foot. Along the way, he saw many traces of fighting. GU immortals usually fought in the sky, this was a trait that separated them from GU masters. GU immortals had GU worms and time to train their flying abilities. But GU masters normally could not. Thus, though these traces were all left behind during battle, there was little obvious damage to the terrain. Luckily, southern border had a lot of mountains. If this was northern plains with linear terrain, the traces would be fainter. If it was eastern sea or western desert, the signs would be even more faint. But despite this, Fang Yuan could not catch his target. As the sky turned dark, his heart sank. Sigh, he exhaled at the sky, he gave up on chasing them, he changed his mind and left, rapidly retreating. Fang Yuan was taking a huge risk in searching for them. Yitian Mountain was already a troublesome place to be nearby. Spectral soul refined GU and went through tribulation, many southern border GU immortals died, the matter had escalated so much that more southern border GU immortals were sure to investigate the area. Ying Wuxie and the others encountered some of these southern border GU immortals who came to investigate. Fang Yuan met Huo Kongdong, but he was only one of them. The difference between the two situations was, the former were Northern Plains GU immortals, they were regarded with antagonism by Southern Border GU immortals. Fang Yuan had a Southern Border GU immortal aura, he did not attract excessive suspicion. But if he continued to stay, even if Fang Yuan had attitude GU, it was not safe. I left a lot of fake will in my mind, but Ying Wuxie did not chase after me. Was it because of the obstruction of these Southern Border GU immortals? Or did he find out my arrangement? Or were there some hidden details? Fang Yuan guessed. The huge force of Shadow Sect and Spectral Soul Demon Venerables, tens of thousands of years of planning, there are surely arrangements left behind. Even just zombie alliances branches in the 5 regions are already a huge asset. Would Ying Wuxie go to them? In the worst case scenario, if he uses my identity to take over my assets, how can I deal with it? Danghun Mountain and Luokou Valley were once used by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable to cultivate, they are in Hu Immortal Blessed Land and Star Form Blessed Land respectively. Even if Ying Wuxie does not know the scenery of Hu Immortal Blessed Land and Star Form Blessed Land, he can directly teleport to Danghun Mountain and Luokou Valley using fixed immortal travel, right? Even after swapping souls, the land spirit should be able to detect the difference. But there are many ways to deceive land spirits, and the enemy is Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's split soul. Fang Yuan gradually stopped flying, he floated in the air. Cold wind continued to blow, his mind seemingly was being chilled. The night became darker, Fang Yuan's face also had a deep layer of gloominess. Where did Ying Wuxie, Tai Bai Yun Sheng, and He Lulan go exactly? Fixed immortal travel, jade green light dissipated, Ying Wuxie left southern border, returning to central continent. Ma Master. Before he looked around, a meek voice could be heard. It is me. Ying Wuxie raised his head, replying nonchalantly. Looking around, his lips curled into a smile. Chapter 1026. Given to Feng Jinhuang. Master, please speak the secret code. That timid voice spoke again. Ying Wuxie spoke. Heaven has 9 layers. That voice continued. The land has 5 regions. Ying Wuxie spoke. Throughout the ages. The voice continued. Ruling over all beings. With a loud sound, 2 knees landed on the ground, and a sobbing voice could be heard. Shinu pays respects to Master. Stand up. Ying Wuxie laughed, raising his hand as a signal to the kneeling Rockman Gu Immortal. The Rockman Gu Immortal kowtowed 3 times before respectfully standing up. However, facing Ying Wuxie, his hands were still dropped, his legs were closed tightly and his body was still in a half-bowing posture, his eyes only gazing at Ying Wuxie's feet, not daring to look straight into Ying Wuxie's eyes. The Gu Immortal aura from him was strong, at rank 7 level. Ying Wuxie used fixed immortal travel, but did not go straight to Hu Immortal Blessed Land and seize Danghun Mountain. Instead, he arrived at this secret base of Shadow Sect in Central Continent. Ying Wuxie's soul was a split soul of spectral soul demon Venerable. Previously, his childlike frankness and lack of sophistication were because of the pure dream reality seeker physique erasing the soul's memories. With his memories erased, Ying Wuxie was like a newborn, he would naturally have limited shrewdness. But the battle on the edge of life and death tempered his character, and going through the imparting of spectral souls while in the Red Lotus true inheritance, Ying Wuxie's memories had already recovered to some degree, and was much more mature and steady when handling matters. He had experienced rebirth and thus already knew Fang Yuan's arrangements. Not only could he not use any Gu worms on his body, Fang Yuan's fake will was in his mind, and slight carelessness would have his thoughts influenced. He had an extremely large number of Gu worms, as well as a dazzling array of immortal Gu, but Ying Wuxie could only use fixed immortal travel. In such a situation, he naturally would not stupidly run to Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Even if he had ways to deceive the land spirit, he still required many Gu worms to put them to use. If he entered Hu Immortal Blessed Land without any preparations, he would definitely be found out by the land spirit and that would be truly troublesome. Thus, Ying Wuxie used fixed immortal travel to first arrive at this place and make preparations. First take me to the underground core. Ying Wuxie instructed. Yes, Master. Gu Immortal Shinu quickly responded. The 2 drilled into the ground, going through many twisting dark tunnels and arrived before an underground chamber. This chamber was extremely large, spanning as far as the eye could see. The yellowish-brown soil in the chamber was extremely dense and thick, constantly rolling around. In the periphery of the chamber were layers and layers of Gu formations, for healing, concealing, supporting and other uses. Ying Wuxie fixed his eyes upon a spot, vaguely seeing a sphere made of a soul in the center of the soil, sinking and rising. He observed it for a while, letting out a sigh. This soul sphere was Bo Qing's soul. Back then, Sword Immortal Bo Qing failed in passing his tribulation and was barely saved by Shadow Sect's split soul, Yellow. Thousands of years had gone by but the injuries to Bo Qing's soul were instead worsening. Not only did it not recover, it was reduced to this soul sphere. Bo Qing's soul was struck by the myriad tribulation, water path Dao marks lingered around him, constantly generating without pause. Although it was inhibited by the dense earth path Dao marks in the underground core, it was temporary relief that could only delay for some time and not cure it. Even with Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's foundation, they were at a loss on what to do. However, Shadow Sect had never given up. To look over this area, Shadow Sect subdued a group of rockmen. After some nurturing, they raised a Rockman Gu Immortal. This Rockman Gu Immortal was Shinu. Originally, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had planned and conspired for tens of thousands of years to refine Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu. Although Shinu was only rank 7, he was also a considerable battle strength. Unfortunately, when they were about to summon him, an unexpected mishap occurred here. A wild one-eyed giant ape appeared. Shinu had no choice but to come out and fight the giant ape and draw it away. Back then, Heaven Overseeing Tower had already set the situation. Shadow Sect was already busy dealing with this and thus did not summon Shinu. As such, Gu Immortal Shinu had luckily survived. Actually, there were many unexpected incidents occurring in all aspects related to Shadow Sect. Apart from Shinu, the most clear example was Qin Bai Sheng running into Feng Juzhe. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable wanted to refine Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu, desiring to go against Heaven. Heaven's will would naturally see to stop it. If Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was an otherworldly demon, the situation would be somewhat better. Unfortunately, he was a native of this world and was extremely restricted by Heaven's will. Shadow Sect's strength was absolutely not small, and it was spread over 5 regions. But because of Heaven's will's obstruction, they were not able to use all their strength. After Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was defeated, Shadow Sect dispersed. In particular, their subordinate organization, Zombie Alliance, was completely annihilated. But in the 5 regions, they still had some remaining arrangements. Like GU Immortal, she knew. After half an hour. Where is this? Tai Bai Yunsheng came out of Ying Wuxia's immortal aperture. It is not Hu Immortal Blessed Land. He Lu Lan also came out of Ying Wuxia's immortal aperture shortly afterwards. The two gazed at their surroundings in doubt. They found they were in an underground room. The arrangement here was extremely crude. The two used investigative GU worms and immediately found this underground room was only a small portion of an entire underground maze. This is the underground environment of Rockmen. So this is below the ground. Tai Bai Yunsheng had a slight realization. Ying Wuxia nodded. Right. We have already returned to Central Continent. Right now, we are in Earth Abyss. The Rockmen here have already been transferred out. This is a secret base arranged by Master. No wonder you put Star Form Blessed Land in Earth Abyss. So Master had already arranged a location in Earth Abyss. Tai Bai Yunsheng smiled. So Fang Yuan's second Blessed Land is also in Earth Abyss. Ying Wuxia mentally noted it down. Purple Mountain True Monarch. He Lu Lan's mind shook as she narrowed her eyes, staring at Ying Wuxia and asking, why did you not go directly to Hu Immortal Blessed Land? Ying Wuxia was already prepared, replying calmly, it is not that I don't want to return. But my identity is exposed now. Heavenly Court's GU Immortals know about me. Although their speed in returning to Central Continent can't match fixed immortal travel, don't forget that they have information path methods. They can notify the 10 great ancient sects to surround Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Such a simple matter, they definitely have already done it. If we directly return there, we might just be sending ourselves into a trap. So I first moved here to scout for intelligence. Then what did you find out? He Lu Lan asked. Ying Wuxia sighed. It is like I expected, my identity has been exposed. Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects already know that we are the true culprits of the destruction of 88 Truyong Building. Hu Immortal Blessed Land is already surrounded, and they will attack the Blessed Land any moment now. Tai Bai Yunsheng was greatly shocked. Danghun Mountain is still there, what should we do? Tai Bai Yunsheng knew Fang Yuan had already found a revival method. As such, Hu Immortal Blessed Land's value had greatly reduced. What was more important were the cultivation resources in the Blessed Land. Danghun Mountain was extremely important, they had an inexhaustible source of income with it. Ying Wuxia sneered. Hu Immortal Blessed Land is lost. I will let the 10 great ancient sects safeguard the resources inside for a while. Sooner or later, I will take them back. The urgent thing is to make preparations and recover Ah. Ying Wuxia suddenly stopped speaking, his face revealing a shocked and startled expression. What happened? Tai Bai Yunsheng quickly asked. A furious look flashed past Ying Wuxia's eyes, before he bitterly smiled and brought out Fixed Immortal Travel's destroyed body. I was struck by Shadow Sect's moves but forcibly activated Fixed Immortal Travel. Now, it is destroyed. This. For a moment, Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lu Lan both felt deeply regretful. Fixed Immortal Travel was extremely practical. Now that it was dead, the 3 immortals all felt great loss. Ying Wuxia was extremely furious inwardly. How could Fixed Immortal Travel self-destruct all of a sudden? It seems Fang Yuan left behind some methods. Damn it, he not only schemed against me, he intentionally let me use Fixed Immortal Travel to try to lure me into going to Yitian Mountain. Moreover, he still left behind this method. Since Fixed Immortal Travel could self-destruct, then the same should also apply to Fang Yuan's other GU worms. Thinking of this, Ying Wuxia was immediately unable to stand by. He now had to think of ways to subdue these GU worms of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's arrangement had truly caught him unprepared. Special will, it should be the special will. Looks like I need to race against time. I need to borrow Immortal GU to suppress his GU worms. I can't let them self-destruct as well. Ying Wuxia screamed internally, unable to conceal his anxiousness on the surface. Tai Bai Yunsheng felt something amiss and asked in concern, Fang Yuan, what's wrong? Ying Wuxia's face was very gloomy. We have huge trouble. I must quickly deal with it, otherwise my other GU worms will also have the same ending as Fixed Immortal Travel. What? Is there anything I can help you with? Tai Bai Yunsheng immediately felt like his heart was burning. He also felt anxious. You two rest and recuperate first. You will be led to your rooms by the Rockmen in a while. HMPH, I can deal with this situation. After all, Master has not only left behind this stronghold, we still have our network. Ying Wuxie finished speaking, and then left. Meanwhile in Central Continent, TNT Mountain. We have broken through. We have broken through. Ha ha ha, Hu Immortal Blessed Land has finally been captured by us. Let me see what benefits this kid Fang Yuan had gotten. Be patient, don't forget Dang Hun Mountain will be managed in turns by us, the 10 great ancient sects. GU Immortals of the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent flocked inside, excitedly storming their way into Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Afterwards, it was like their whole bodies were drenched in cold water. Empty, how could it be empty? There is nothing here, what's going on? Where is Dang Hun Mountain? Where did Dang Hun Mountain go? Central Continent's GU Immortals shouted one after the other. You are Lord Feng Juzhe. Hu Immortal Land Spirit appeared in front of Feng Juzhe and looked at him with her large watery eyes. Feng Juzhe was slightly taken aback. I am. My master instructed me to tell Lord that he has already taken everything he needs. As for this blessed land, it shall be given to Lord's daughter, Feng Jin Huang. Hu Immortal Land Spirit said openly. What, Fang Yuan was faster than us? Didn't our combined deductions say he was still in southern border? Why did Fang Yuan hand over Hu Immortal Blessed Land to Feng Jin Huang? Could it be that the two of them? Speaking of it, ever since the Refinement Path Convention, these two have been pretty close. Everyone in the 10 sects know of this. The GU Immortals mumbled. Feng Juji's gaze swept past them and these whispers immediately stopped. Chapter 1027, 9-5 Sovereign Immortal Aperture, 1/2. Going back a while ago in time, Fang Yuan chased Ying Wuxie with no results, he stopped in the air, feeling dejected. Darkness was becoming deeper as it enshrouded the land. This was a cold night. Wind blew eerily, as Fang Yuan felt a chill in his mind. His original plan was great. Making arrangements in his body, leaving behind fake will and special will, lending fixed immortal travel, according to Fang Yuan's estimations, this plan was very likely to succeed. But the result in reality was failure. Fang Yuan did not know that he had succeeded once, but because of Heaven's will and Spring-Autumn Cicada, it all fell apart. Even though he lost, Fang Yuan decided to face the results without denying or trying to make excuses. In fact, he was mentally prepared. This was his mental fortitude created after hundreds of years in this world. Any plan, no matter how detailed, had a possibility of failure. Even Shadow Sect and Spectral Soul's plan over tens of thousands of years, after so many deductions, didn't it still fail? Even the former demon Venerable failed, not to mention Fang Yuan. In this world, no matter who it was, there was no one who would never fail. Fang Yuan attempted to guess Ying Wuxie's situation. The most likely scenario was that right now, because of the obstruction of southern border GU Immortals, Ying Wuxie could not go to Yitian Mountain. If that was the case, Fang Yuan's arrangements were still in place, Ying Wuxie had not discovered them, this was not the worst situation. Perhaps if Fang Yuan continued chasing them, he might get back all his GU worms and regain his peak battle strength again. But this was only one possibility. Fang Yuan had a vigilant nature, he considered defeat before thinking about victory. He preferred to make the worst possible assumptions and prepare against them. Then, what would be the worst situation? Fang Yuan floated in the night sky, asking himself. The worst-case scenario was if Ying Wuxie found out his arrangements and exploited them to his benefit, deceiving Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lu Lan, going to Star Form Blessed Land or Hu Immortal Blessed Land and taking all of his assets. This was very possible. From Fang Yuan's perspective, Ying Wuxie was Spectral Soul's split soul, his foundation was very abundant, it may not be hard to detect this arrangement. The most important thing was, Yitian Mountain had manifested a gigantic dream realm. The dream realm was the greatest obstacle, Ying Wuxie could not return to Yitian Mountain. Spectral Soul's main body had already fallen deep into the dream realm, Ying Wuxie definitely wanted to rescue his main body, but he had too few Dream Path GU worms. In his previous body, there were a number of Dream Path Immortal GU and Mortal GU, but after the body detonated, it was unknown whether these GU worms still existed. GU worms were very fragile, even Immortal GU could be destroyed by a child's fingers. Even if these Dream Path GU worms were still alive, the Dream Realm was way too big. In his current state, Ying Wuxie could not enter the Dream Realm and take these GU worms back. Fang Yuan did not have a mentality of leaving things to chance, he stopped chasing them and landed on a nearby mountain. There were many mountains in southern border, with many forests on these mountains. Fang Yuan was leaning against a huge pine tree, he sat on a thick branch as he calmed his mind, using Connecting Heaven GU. He had borrowed 4 rank 5 mortal GU from Huo Kong Dong. One was Flying Smoke GU, one was Fire Cape GU. The other 2 were Connecting Heaven GU and Divine Sense GU. The latter 2 were necessities to GU Immortals. Using these 2 GU worms, they could connect to Treasure Yellow Heaven. It was the biggest market for GU Immortals across the 5 regions. It was not suspicious that Fang Yuan sought these GU worms from Huo Kong Dong. If he had them in the first place, he could buy some appropriate GU worms in Treasure Yellow Heaven, he would not need to run around naked. But he could not ask for more. Even if Fang Yuan had attitude GU, and Huo Kong Dong would not suspect his identity, the latter would think that he was taking advantage of him. Fang Yuan had inspected these 4 GU worms before he carefully used them. There was no issue with Connecting Heaven GU, but when Fang Yuan was about to use it, his body shook, he showed an expression of immense shock. With his mental fortitude, he could already completely conceal his emotions. But at this moment, his shock was so great, it was unprecedented in his entire life after rebirth. Even when he learned that the mastermind of Shadow Sect was Spectral Soul, Fang Yuan had never been so shocked before. His body and mind were trembling. His mind was quaking incessantly, he was staring with wide-opened eyes, looking at the night sky and lush leaves, he appeared like he was in a daze. Calm down, Fang Yuan blinked, telling himself, but his breathing was rough, his heart was beating rapidly. He sent his consciousness into his immortal aperture again. At the second glance, Fang Yuan observed his brand new immortal aperture again. Immense shock, he frowned, his entire body tensed, an unbelievable immortal aperture was presented to him. What sort of amazing immortal aperture was this? If I did not witness this personally, I would never believe that such an immortal aperture exists in the world. Fang Yuan was filled with this thought. In fact, he had already been mentally prepared. Spectral Soul had spent tens of thousands of years and used up almost all of Shadow Sect's assets, what was it for? It was to refine this rank 9 sovereign immortal fetus GU. Looking over the entire refinement process, they first used the 10 extreme immortal zombies to create the 10 extreme immortal zombie lifeless formation. They next used the bodies and immortal apertures of countless southern border GU immortals who died as GU refinement material. They next sent the members of Zombie Alliance, over 100 immortal zombies into the formation. Finally, the demon Venerable did not stint on sacrifices to himself to activate the 10 extreme formation. Finally, using the countless grand tribulations and myriad tribulations, this grand feat was achieved. The difficulty of each of these steps was unimaginable for rank 8 GU immortals. Just the first step, to collect all 10 of the 10 extreme physiques, it was very difficult. Tens of thousands of years of planning and waiting, along with some luck, were needed to do this. Not to mention the rest of the steps. After spending such a great sum and sacrificing so much, a rank 9 immortal GU was formed eventually. Even if Fang Yuan did not know the inside details, he knew that this sovereign immortal fetus GU had extraordinary power. Rank 9 immortal GU, in the vast numbers of GU worms, had the same status as rank 9 venerables. They were extremely rare, extremely precious, and extremely powerful. Fang Yuan had interacted with a rank 9 immortal GU before. That was Wisdom GU. Facing Wisdom GU, he did not even have the ability to refine it. He could only use the light of wisdom, it was like seeing a luxurious meal, but he could only smell it. Even so, the smell was so amazing and brought Fang Yuan immense benefits. Without the light of wisdom, Fang Yuan could not progress so rapidly and fiercely to this extent. He recently encountered his second rank 9 immortal GU. Sovereign immortal fetus GU. This time, not only did he smell it, he swallowed this supreme meal whole. Spectral Soul refined sovereign immortal fetus GU, it is definitely not so simple, there are profound mysteries behind it. After rebirth, this idea was lingering in Fang Yuan's mind. But he was chasing after Ying Wuxie, he had no time to explore the mysteries of this body. Fang Yuan's new body was formed by sovereign immortal fetus GU. Even though there were huge mysteries behind it, there was no rush. The urgent matter was to catch Ying Wuxie and take back his GU worms. Thus, Fang Yuan threw this matter to the back of his mind. But now, he failed to catch Ying Wuxie, he had to make a response to the worst-case scenario, thus he wanted to use Connecting Heaven GU to enter Treasure Yellow Heaven. At this moment, he looked into the immortal aperture for the first time. With just one glance, he was extremely stunned. Because the scenery of this immortal aperture was not normal, it had greatly exceeded Fang Yuan's common sense in regards to cultivation that had been accumulated over hundreds of years. This immortal aperture was a rank 6 GU immortal blessed land, but the space was huge, extremely huge. To what extent? Most rank 6 GU immortals had medium or low-grade blessed lands. A low-grade blessed land had a size of 2,000 square kilometers at the maximum, while a medium-grade blessed land could have a size of 2,700 square kilometers to 4,000 square kilometers. This was the case for most rank 6 GU immortals. A smaller number of rank 6 GU immortals, who were like Tai Bai Yun Shang, had an impressive inheritance and had abundant foundation when ascending to immortal, they would obtain a high-grade blessed land. High-grade blessed lands were formed with a size of 4,700 square kilometers to 6,000 square kilometers. High, medium and low-grade blessed lands were the cases for most rank 6 GU immortals. Most, because there were exceptions. The 10 extreme physiques: Great Strength True Martial Physique, Northern Dark Ice Soul Physique, Verdant Great Sun Physique, Desolate Ancient Moon Physique. Once a person of the 10 extreme physiques became a GU immortal, like He Lu Lan, they would obtain a super-grade blessed land. Super-grade blessed lands had a territory of over 6,700 square kilometers but did not exceed 13,000 square kilometers. The above information refers to the starting size after immortal ascension. Super-grade blessed lands were very rare. Because the 10 extreme physiques were already rare to begin with, and most of them would die along the way, there were few who could become immortals. Of course, once a 10 extreme immortal came into being, just the space of the immortal aperture was a huge asset for them. Bigger immortal apertures were better, because the larger they were, the more space path Dao marks they had, and the more they could carry. The production of resources and limits on their growth would be higher as well. Many GU immortals encounter a problem when they cultivate. Their immortal aperture did not have enough space. Their beast groups were too big, they had to sell some. The variant humans were too large in number, they needed to sell slaves. There were too many flowers and grass inside, they had to get rid of some. Everyone knew that the larger the beast groups, the more young they would produce. Everyone knew that the larger the number of variant humans, the more they would reproduce. Everyone knew that their plants were more valuable when they were allowed to grow and expand further. But they had no choice. The size of the immortal aperture was the limitation. Thus, many GU immortals tried all ways possible to increase the sizes of their immortal apertures. For example, Expand Space Immortal GU could increase the number of space path Dao marks in the immortal aperture. It was one of the ways to increase the space inside of the immortal aperture. Chapter 1028, 9.5 Sovereign Immortal Aperture, 2 halves. However, methods like Expand Space Immortal GU were only icing on the cake. No matter what methods were used, the biggest factor in determining the limit of the size of the blessed land was still its grade. Looking at Fang Yuan's immortal aperture again, every layer of his immortal aperture had over 33,500 square kilometers of space. 33,500 square kilometers already exceeded the super-grade blessed land of a 10 extreme physique GU immortal vastly. And this was just one layer. Fang Yuan found that his immortal aperture had 10 layers. And each layer had more than 33,500 square kilometers of space. Adding them up, 10 layers amounted to over 335,000 square kilometers of space. What did that imply? Fang Yuan could not imagine. Because he had never heard of such a ridiculous immortal aperture in the world. The large space inside was only the first point. Fang Yuan's immortal aperture was split into 10 layers. This was very unique. Normal blessed lands would not have separate spaces, they only had one unified area. For example, Hu Immortal Blessed Land and Star Form Blessed Land. When would the space inside the immortal aperture split up? It was when immortal apertures become grotto heavens. By then, the immortal aperture would undergo changes according to the GU immortal's body, creating many different areas and segments. Starry Sky Grotto Heaven was a prime example. My blessed land has the characteristics of a grotto heaven. Even what may be the greatest blessed land in the world, Langya Blessed Land, only has one unified space. And Langya Blessed Land has fallen from a grotto heaven, while my blessed land has just started at rank 6. And in this first layer, it is split into 5 areas. Fang Yuan's immortal aperture had 10 layers. The first layer was a vast piece of land, split into 5 areas. The second to 10th layers had no soil or earth, they were empty. What made Fang Yuan surprised was that the 5 areas in the first layer were divided very clearly. The central area had the most fertile soil and differences in terrain within. The southern area had many mountains and peaks, it was moist and foggy. The northern area had huge grasslands with strong winds. The eastern area was a sea with countless islands, like a huge chessboard. The western area was desolate and had high temperatures, it was mainly a desert. This arrangement, isn't it the 5 regions of this world? Southern border, Eastern Sea, Central Continent, Northern Plains, Western Desert, Fang Yuan mumbled internally. What shocked him were the 2nd to 10th layers. In these 9 layers, there was no soil, there was nothing, but they were all colored red, orange, yellow, green, azure, blue, purple, white, and black respectively. Aren't the immemorial 9 heavens arranged with these colors as well? But later, Ren Zhu and his 10 children caused 7 of the heavens to collapse, resulting in the fragment worlds of the immemorial 7 heavens to scatter and fall. Right now, only white and black heaven are left. 9 heavens, 5 regions, 9-5 sovereign. So this is why it is called sovereign immortal fetus GU. In fact, Fang Yuan had some expectations that his immortal aperture would be different from others, that it would be very exemplary. But he did not expect it to be so impressive. Impressive to the point that Fang Yuan felt a little fearful. Fearful, this emotion seemed hard to understand. But to make a comparison, Tai Bai Yunsheng was an elite person. He Lu Lan was a 10 extreme immortal, a genius among elites. And what was Fang Yuan? He was far beyond any genius. If he had to be described in one word, that would be monster. Towards geniuses, people would feel admiration, envy or resentment towards them. As for monsters, freaks who went far beyond common sense, people would feel fear and the urge to eliminate them. In the 500 years of Fang Yuan's previous life, his aperture was only high grade. After rebirth, his strength path immortal aperture was only medium grade. He had worked hard for the goal of attaining super grade. But suddenly, he obtained this immortal aperture. All of a sudden, he had turned from an ordinary GU immortal to a ridiculous and freakish monster. Naturally, he felt some fear. I cannot let news of this immortal aperture be exposed. Once it is exposed, I will face an endless wave of enemies who wants me dead. But even if I told people about this immortal aperture, nobody would believe me. No, at least, Spectral Soul would believe it. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan's expression turned grim. The better the 9-5 sovereign immortal aperture was, the deeper the enmity between Fang Yuan and Spectral Soul, along with Shadow Sect. Even though Fang Yuan had not uncovered the mysteries of the sovereign immortal aperture yet, on the surface, with just these traits, his relationship with Spectral Soul and Shadow Sect was already irreconcilable. Even if the other party did not have rank 9 cultivation level, they were quasi-rank 9. Against such an enemy, Fang Yuan felt deep pressure. Right now, Spectral Soul's main body is still trapped in the dream realm. But he has planned for tens of thousands of years, he definitely has backup plans. Ying Wuxie is his split soul, he is now in my body with his whereabouts unknown. Most importantly, Zombie Alliance is finished, while Shadow Sect lost terribly. How much foundation does this secretive super force have left? And, in the 500 years of my previous life, did Shadow Sect and Spectral Soul succeed? His new body was very useful. In just a moment, Fang Yuan thought of many things, the thoughts in his mind collided into one another, causing intense reactions. I should connect to Treasure Yellow Heaven first. Fang Yuan cleared his mind. It only took a bit of time for him to absorb the information regarding the Sovereign Immortal Aperture, there was no big issue. He used Connecting Heaven GU and Divine Sense GU, easily, finding Treasure Yellow Heaven. Treasure Yellow Heaven was the #1 market for GU Immortals of the 5 regions, it had a huge origin. It was formed from a GU Immortals Grotto Heaven and a large immemorial Yellow Heaven fragment. Yellow Heaven, of the immemorial 9 heavens, was of the same level as White Heaven and Black Heaven. Even when a mortal raises their head, they would see White Heaven and Black Heaven. When a GU Immortal uses Connecting Heaven GU, they could sense Treasure Yellow Heaven, which was like a torch in the darkness. His attempt at connecting to Treasure Yellow Heaven was very successful. Soon, within Fang Yuan's Sovereign Immortal Aperture, there was a smooth mirror. Inside, he could see Treasure Yellow Heaven. Fang Yuan activated Divine Sense GU, sending his thoughts inside. In a short time, he found Little Hu Immortal. In accordance with Fang Yuan's instructions before he left, Little Hu Immortal had been keeping her Connecting Heaven GU open the entire time. After rebirth, even though Fang Yuan did not know how the Battle of Yitian Mountain would turn out, he knew that if he was exposed, Hu Immortal Blessed Land would be besieged by Central Continent GU Immortals. The Dragonfish and Eerie Fire Dragon Pythons inside Hu Immortal Blessed Land had already been shifted into Starform Blessed Land. Hu Immortal Blessed Land only had Danghun Mountain, several Fang Yuan stone nests, and a large number of hairy man slaves left. In the underground cave, there was Wisdom Gu, as well as the Sword Path Immortal Gu that Fang Yuan had taken from Immortal Zombie Bo Ching. Dang Hun Mountain was kept in Hu Immortal Blessed Land so that he could easily sell Guts Gu. After all, Hu Immortal Blessed Land was connected to Spirit Affinity House and Immortal Crane Sect. If it were in Star Form Blessed Land, it could be easily deduced. There was another point. Hu Immortal Blessed Land was an Enslavement Path Blessed Land. It had a larger number of Enslavement Path Dao marks. It could allow Fang Yuan to manage the hairy man slaves more easily. If these hairy men were moved to Star Form Blessed Land, they would not be as obedient, and would not refine Gu as enthusiastically. Even though hairy men were variant humans, they had emotions, their attitude to work varied. Of course, Fang Yuan was considering He Lu Lan and Blazing Heaven Demoness as well. As for Wisdom Gu, Fang Yuan wanted to relocate it the most. But Fang Yuan did not have this ability. Back then, his agreement with Wisdom Gu was made under a special situation. Fang Yuan and Little Hu Immortal quickly connected. Is it Master? Little Hu Immortal was joyous as she asked this. It's me. Fang Yuan answered. It really is Master. Quickly confirm the secret code with me. Little Hu Immortal said again. The two confirmed the code as Little Hu Immortal said happily. Master, are you okay? I miss you so much. Fang Yuan laughed. He told Little Hu Immortal some important details as he told her to use Plan B Section C. All along, Fang Yuan had been facing a lot of mental pressure. He was worried that Central Continent's Gu Immortals would attack Hu Immortal Blessed Land. To minimize his losses, Fang Yuan used the light of wisdom and deduced many plans to deal with many situations. Furthermore, he gave these plans to Little Hu Immortal. It was good to prepare in advance. But after hearing his words, Little Hu Immortal thought about that plan and was stunned. She spoke as she cried, Master, Master, you don't want me anymore. I am very obedient, I will listen to Master more from now on. Hey, Fang Yuan laughed. Don't worry, Plan B Section C has been recently edited. Act according to it and the other party will not truly accept you. Little Hu Immortal smiled through her tears. She trusted Fang Yuan completely, she did not doubt his judgment. She followed this plan and contacted Langya Land Spirit. Over on Langya Land Spirit's end, Fang Yuan had already told him long ago, after all, he was the external supreme elder of Langya sect. Langya Land Spirit quickly dispatched a group of rank 6 hairy man Gu Immortals, using a stargate to get to Hu Immortal Blessed Land. They displayed the ancient battle formation, Heavenly Giant Suller, turning into a giant and carrying Dang Hun Mountain, before placing it in the immortal aperture of one of the hairy man Gu Immortals and going back to Langya Blessed Land through the stargate. Little Hu Immortal next brought them to Wisdom Gu. The hairy man Gu Immortals were stunned. They transmitted the information back to Langya Land Spirit and after his shock, he used his methods to convince Wisdom Gu to enter one of their immortal apertures before going back to Langya Blessed Land. After learning about this outcome, Fang Yuan relaxed. He had no choice but to expose Wisdom Gu to Langya Land Spirit out of necessity. The outcome was that Langya Land Spirit did not disappoint Fang Yuan. He was an obsession of the rank 8 long-hair ancestor after all. Back then, long-hair ancestor's refinement path attainment had exceeded that of 2 venerables, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable. He was the #1 refinement path immortal of all times. He had an unfathomable foundation. Some people in the future who researched him conjectured that long-hair ancestor's limitation was that he was a hairy man variant human. If he were a normal human Gu Immortal, he might have reached the supreme realm of rank 9. After Langya Land Spirit transported Wisdom Gu to Langya Blessed Land, Fang Yuan contacted Star Form Blessed Land and sent Luopo Valley, which was inside, to Langya Blessed Land as well. This way, Dang Hun Mountain and Langya Blessed Land were both inside Langya Blessed Land. Even if fixed immortal travel did not self-detonate and Ying Wuxie obtained it, he would go to Dang Hun Mountain or Luopo Valley, and Langya sect would have to deal with the danger instead. Chapter 1029. Vital Immortal Gu, Dog Shit Luck. The relocation of Hu Immortal Blessed Land and Star Form Blessed Land is also settled now. Fang Yuan could finally exhale a breath of relief after completing this matter. He considered defeat before considering victory. After this matter was settled, no matter how Ying Wuxie reacted, Fang Yuan's losses would already be reduced greatly. It was interesting, actually, under a series of odd events, his and Ying Wuxie's statuses had swapped. Fang Yuan aspired to attain eternal life, a physical body to him was no different to a bag of flesh, and he felt no reluctance in altering it. What he cared about were 3 aspects. First, his original body's Gu worms. Second, the cultivation resources he accumulated in Immortal Blessed Land and Star Form Blessed Land. Third, the relations with He Lu Lan, Tai Bai Yun Shang, Lang Ya Land Spirit, Spirit Affinity House, Immortal Crane Sect and others. Fang Yuan gazed at the dark sky, the mountain winds shaking the branches of the pine tree he was resting on. He pondered. By this time, fixed immortal travel should have already self-destructed. Next, the other GU worms will self-destruct one after the other. I wonder how Ying Wuxie will deal with this. There is little to no hope for me in taking these GU worms back now. The resources of Immortal Blessed Land and Starform Blessed Land have already been moved. Immortal Blessed Land has fallen into the hands of Central Continent's GU Immortals, and Starform Blessed Land is hidden deep within Earth Abyss. Now, only the third matter remains, He Lu Lan, Tai Bai Yun Sheng and others. Fang Yuan carefully pondered. Regarding the third aspect, the relations with Central Continent's Spirit Affinity House and Immortal Crane Sect were already broken. The truth of Fang Yuan destroying 88 Truyong building was already exposed everywhere. Heavenly Court would definitely pursue this and find trouble with Fang Yuan. From a certain perspective, Ying Wuxie possessing Fang Yuan's physical body meant he would face the disaster for Fang Yuan to an extent. So he did not need to worry about these. What Fang Yuan was worried about were He Lu Lan and Tai Bai Yun Shang. Fairy Li Shan and Blazing Heaven Demoness were dead. He Lu Lan's value had fallen sharply, but she was still a 10 extreme physique GU immortal with the great strength true martial physique. Adding in her identity in his previous life as Spirit Affinity House's fairy, as well as her strong luck and formidable character, she absolutely could not be looked down upon. And Tai Bai Yun Sheng might only have 2 immortal GU, but each of them were top-grade GU worms with huge practical value. Fang Yuan was extremely worried that these 2 would be used by Ying Wuxie to make difficulties for him. So after he connected with Immortal Blessed Land and Starform Blessed Land, he immediately tried to communicate with He Lu Lan and Tai Bai Yun Sheng in Treasure Yellow Heaven. They had left behind their wills in Treasure Yellow Heaven. This was a communication method prepared early on. But although Fang Yuan contacted these 2 wills at Treasure Yellow Heaven, he had yet to truly contact the 2 of them. Only when these 2 people connect to Treasure Yellow Heaven and their wills return to their main bodies would they be able to understand and learn the truth. With no contact from them, the worry in Fang Yuan's eyes became even deeper. Without other options, he chose to give up trying for now and contacted Lang Ya Land Spirit. And this time, he obtained a reply almost immediately. "Lad, you finally contacted me." Lang Ya Land Spirit appeared extremely excited as he called out. In truth, he had agreed to help Fang Yuan relocate the resources mainly due to Fang Yuan's status as a member of Lang Ya sect. But when he saw Danghun Mountain, Luopo Valley and especially Wisdom GU, he was completely dumbstruck with amazement. To sum it up in a single word, he was shocked. He had never expected Fang Yuan's hidden accumulations to be so deep. So deep to the extent it made him unable to believe it. Hearing Lang Ya Land Spirit's words, Fang Yuan smiled. It was as if he was looking at the land spirit, with hair all over his body, like a gorilla jumping around with an exaggerated appearance. Lang Ya Land Spirit originated from long-hair ancestor. He was extremely special as he was formed from 2 obsessions. This current obsession was filled with aggressiveness, wholeheartedly wanting to make hairy men the rulers, the masters of the 5 regions, suppressing humans. Compared to the previous sagely-looking land spirit, this one was more erratic. But no matter which one, land spirits could not lie, they were frank and honest. Fang Yuan could be much more at ease in dealing with the land spirit than human GU immortals who were able to hide their intentions from him. Seeing that Fang Yuan was keeping quiet, Lang Ya Land Spirit could not endure it and continued speaking. "Fang Yuan, Lang Ya sect has done a huge favor for you this time. What if you lost these? Wouldn't you want to smash your own head and die? So how will you repay me?" Pausing for a while, Fang Yuan heard Lang Ya Land Spirit speak again. "Lad, contribute these things to the sect. I absolutely won't let you suffer a loss. You are our external supreme elder. I will give you an uncountable number of sect contribution points, enough to exchange for countless immortal GU recipes and immortal GU." Since Fang Yuan had asked Lang Ya Land Spirit for help, he naturally was already mentally prepared. Anyone who saw Danghun Mountain, Luopo Valley and Wisdom GU would definitely be moved. Even Lang Ya Land Spirit was not an exception. Lang Ya Land Spirit might be straightforward and stubborn, with a one-track mind, but he was not without intelligence. Fang Yuan calmly replied, "I am Lang Ya sect's external supreme elder, these are all mine." "First elder, you are not thinking of embezzling my possessions, right?" He. Lang Ya land spirit grabbed at his hair while yelling, if I had known this beforehand, I would not have let you join Lang Ya sect. I could have directly confiscated these supreme treasures if so. Damn it, I told the truth again. Fang Yuan laughed. Back then, Lang Ya land spirit sincerely wanted Fang Yuan to join Lang Ya sect. Now that both sides had already set the agreement, it was too late for Lang Ya land spirit to go against it. At least by his current means, he was not able to breach the agreement. Even if he wanted to renege on the agreement, he needed to prepare for some time to break the information path agreement between the two sides. Even so, because he could not lie, Fang Yuan just needed to probe slightly to extract the information. Just based on this point, Fang Yuan already had Lang Ya land spirit firmly in his grasp. After some careful thinking, Fang Yuan still felt it was better to leave Danghun Mountain, Luopo Valley and Wisdom Gu in Lang Ya blessed land. Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley were two treasure troves once held by spectral soul demon Venerable. If fixed immortal travel hadn't been destroyed, wouldn't it mean Ying Wuxie and others could casually return to these two places? If Fang Yuan placed these two treasure troves in his own immortal aperture, that would be a huge mistake. It would be opening the door for robbers, letting a wolf into one's house. As for Wisdom Gu, Fang Yuan could not use it for the moment. He had now revived with a new physical body, unlike his previous immortal zombie body. In his immortal zombie body, Fang Yuan had no need to fear the light of wisdom. But right now, if he entered this light, his lifespan would start decreasing, which was a price Fang Yuan could not accept. So from now on, unless he had no alternative, it was better to not use Wisdom Gu. I have obtained the sovereign immortal aperture but lost the support of Wisdom Gu. It can be considered that there are losses along with the gains. But, there will be a day I will find a method to use Wisdom Gu with a living body. During this period of time, it is better to let Lang Ya land spirit safeguard Wisdom Gu, saving me from worrying about it. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan said to Lang Ya land spirit, First Supreme Elder, you want me to present these three treasures to the sect. That is impossible. But we can cooperate. I can lend Danghun Mountain, Luopo Valley and Wisdom Gu for the sect's use. The sect will be in charge of safekeeping them. If anything unexpected happens, you will have to compensate me 10 times over. Besides this, you need to compensate me with some sect contribution points too. Lang Ya land spirit was jubilant, almost dancing with joy as he shouted, Lad, you are quite tactful. That's good, that's good. With Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley, I can let these children refine and strengthen their souls. It will be a huge help to their Gu refinement. Also Wisdom Gu, this is a rank 9 Gu of Wisdom Path. In the past it was the vital Gu of Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Using it to deduce immortal Gu recipes is simply too wonderful. From the land spirit's tone, he actually knew how to use Wisdom Gu. Fang Yuan could not help asking. Lang Ya land spirit was not stupid, replying with a chuckle, you want to know the method to use Wisdom Gu, then exchange for it with contribution points. Our Lang Ya sect is fair. Both sides negotiated for a while before completing the matter of collaboration. Fang Yuan then casually mentioned the featherman Zhou Zhang. This variant human was Fang Yuan's slave, but it was not impossible for this relation to be exposed. Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lulan knew of Zhou Zhang. He was already exposed. It was better to let him lead those feathermen to stay in Lang Ya blessed land for the time being. In any case, Lang Ya blessed land's space was extremely huge. Of course, it was unable to compare with Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture in terms of potential future space. As for those hairy man-slaves in the Fang Yuan stone nests, after Fang Yuan haggled with Lang Ya land spirit, these hairy man-slaves still belonged to Fang Yuan, but he had to remove their slave status. They could only be considered Fang Yuan's subordinates in Lang Ya sect. Because of his identity, Lang Ya land spirit had deep love for hairy men and disdain for other races, having a doctrine that hairy men were to be the rulers. Naturally, he would not let Fang Yuan continue to order these hairy men as slaves. It was already extraordinary for him to still let these hairy men be subordinate to Fang Yuan, not arguing about it. Fang Yuan was actually quite happy about this. These hairy men were now free and belonged to Lang Ya blessed land. But as long as Fang Yuan mobilized them to refine Gu, they would have to obey his orders, which was not much different from beforehand. These hairy men would even be nurtured by Lang Ya land spirit, building their own families and working in the blessed land, which would stimulate their passion for Gu refinement and increase their work efficiency. Finally, Fang Yuan briefly informed Lang Ya land spirit about the matter regarding Ying Wuxie and Shadow sect. Lang Yalan's spirit listened on while staring blankly, and only a long time after Fang Yuan finished talking did he react. So you even had Red Lotus Demon Venerable's vital immortal GU, Spring Autumn Cicada. Lang Yalan's spirit cried out again. Lad, what kind of dog shit luck do you have? No, don't tell me you even have Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's vital immortal GU, dog shit luck. So Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's vital immortal GU was actually dog shit luck. Not fortune rivaling heaven GU. Lang Yalan's spirit snorted. He refined fortune rivaling heaven in his later years. In his early years, it was dog shit luck. I had cooperated with him when I was alive, how would I not know? Chapter 1030. Making Heilu Land Defect. Fang Yuan had a peculiar expression. This was the first time he was hearing about dog shit luck, this strange sounding immortal GU. In the current situation, it was not a big deal to expose Spring Autumn Cicada. Heavenly Court's GU immortals already knew about it, that meant the 10 great ancient sects also knew of it, the entire world would basically know of it. Lang Yalan's spirit continued. It is a pity that this Spring Autumn Cicada is only rank 6, if it were the former rank 9 Spring Autumn Cicada, you would definitely obtain victory. Since Spring Autumn Cicada is in Ying Wuxia's hands, you cannot allow him to use it. But thankfully, I have quite a few time path methods. Spring Autumn Cicada is only rank 6 and I know who has it, it is quite easy to counter it. Counter Spring Autumn Cicada. Fang Yuan felt great interest, in fact, this was his biggest worry currently. Lang Yalan's spirit said. Spring Autumn Cicada is merely rank 6, so be it if we do not know who owns it, but since we know, it is easy to deal with. It might be Red Lotus Demon Venerable's vital immortal GU, but so what? There are only invincible GU masters, there are no invincible GU worms. In the entire world, time path is not the strongest, all of the different paths have their strengths. But if we use time path methods, it would be more effective as a counter. Fang Yuan heard this and nodded, feeling that Lang Yalan's spirit's words made a lot of sense. Like just earlier, he used Spring Autumn Cicada to rebirth and was used by Shadow Sect after they deduced it. This was a classic example of wisdom path countering time path. Spring Autumn Cicada had its unique ability, but it was not invincible. Man is the spirit of all living beings, GU are the essence of heaven and earth. The world was balanced, it made sense that Spring Autumn Cicada was countered by other methods. Since rebirth, I have been treating Spring Autumn Cicada as my greatest trump card. To think that I would need to deal with it one day. Fang Yuan sighed internally. When he was contacting Lang Yalan's spirit, at the same time in Central Continent. Mingtang Valley. This valley that was bathed in light all year round was famous in Central Continent. It was under control of Wind Cloud Manor and Heavenly Lotus Sect, 2 of the 10 great ancient sects. It was famous in Central Continent for being among the best places to produce light path GU worms. This land of treasures was incredibly rich in light path Dao marks. Almost every 20 years, there would be wild light path immortal GU formed. Deep in this Mingtang Valley, there was a hidden demonic path GU immortal. Unmoving Mountain, Gong Sun Liang. Suddenly, he opened his eyes from his deep sleep. Oh, someone is calling me, he muttered lightly. The suspicious expression on his face faded at once, turning into a serious and solemn expression. His consciousness entered his immortal aperture as he used a special information path method to communicate. Boss, you want to borrow my immortal GU? On the other end, in a deep part of Earth Abyss, Ying Wuxie answered, yes. Gong Sun Liang opened his eyes, without any sleepiness left. He was very hesitant, his gaze was flickering. He was a demonic path GU immortal, he had been chased and suppressed by Central Continent's righteous path, especially the 10 great ancient sects. He lived like a fugitive. During one of his near-fatal escapes, he fell into a trap and nearly died. At that time, he was saved by a mysterious man. Gong Sun Liang not only kept his life, under the lead of the mysterious man, he joined a mysterious organization. This organization was called Defy. The members of the organization were identified with numbers, they were very mysterious. Gong Sun Liang had obtained much help from this organization. If not for that, he would not have been able to escape up until now, without getting caught by the 10 great ancient sects. As time passed, he saw the importance of this organization, and had some guesses towards the motives of this organization. This organization's codename shows the time the person joined, and their status in the organization. Boss is at the top, he is the person who created Defy. He suddenly wants to borrow my GU. After hesitating for a long time, Gong Sun Liang gritted his teeth and nodded in agreement. Central Continent, Great Heavenly Sword Sect. Two Sword Path GU Immortals, Miao Jun and Miao Yu, were discussing the matters of their sect. Suddenly, Miao Jun's body shook. He received the information that Ying Wuxie sent. Facing Ying Wuxie's request, Miao Jun was very hesitant. He said to Miao Yu, "The boss contacted me, he wants to borrow our Immortal GU." Miao Yu frowned. "This boss is very mysterious. We have only joined Defy for a short time, we have not heard about the boss's information. But the moment he contacted us, he wants to borrow Immortal GU." Miao Jun nodded. "We joined Defy because we wanted their help. But earlier, when trying to leave Immortal Crane sect, they did not provide us any help. And now, they want to borrow Immortal GU from us. This boss is truly shameless." A few years ago, someone in Great Heavenly Sword sect ascended to Immortal. Thus, this force had 3 GU Immortals. Great Heavenly Sword sect was a subsidiary force of Immortal Crane sect. After having 3 GU Immortals, they wanted to get rid of their vassal status from Immortal Crane sect. Unfortunately, they did not succeed. Immortal Crane sect's plan worked and they lured their 3rd GU Immortal away. After this matter, Great Heavenly Sword sect was taken care of by Immortal Crane sect. Miao Jun and Miao Yu's lives were getting tough. The two wanted to borrow the strength of Defy, but their wishes were not granted, thus they were not happy. As a result, Ying Wuxie failed to borrow their GU using his identity as the boss. Bang! In Earth Abyss, in a secret room, Ying Wuxie slammed the table in front of him, smashing it. HMPH. Miao Jun, Miao Yu, Ying Wuxie gritted his teeth, his expression was dark. This organization called Defy was created by Shadow Sect. Central Continent was different from the other 4 regions. Heavenly Court ruled over it. Its subsidiary forces, the 10 great ancient sects, split up most of Central Continent's resources and controlled it tightly. Below the 10 great ancient sects, there were countless forces trying to survive. People looked up to bigger forces. Who would not want to improve? Who would not want to expand their territory and obtain more resources for themselves? Especially GU Immortals, they had to face tribulations once in a while. Thus, GU Immortals were forced to improve, otherwise, they would die from the calamities and tribulations. It was not so easy to increase one's strength. One couldn't cook a meal without the ingredients. The most important thing was the lack of resources. But the 10 great ancient sects had incredible strength, they occupied most resources. The other forces could not gather enough strength to influence their control. People with aspirations noticed this and interacted with one another, forming all sorts of alliances. But these alliances did not last long. Because Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects sowed discord between them, or the members of the alliance went into internal conflicts themselves. Of course, the fundamental problem was insufficient strength to challenge Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects. Shadow Sect thus secretly created the organization Defy, selecting the members carefully and getting stronger. But this was only a casual move. Even the Shadow Sect member who created the organization Defy back then did not have much expectations. The more members there were, the more inflated the organization was, and the more complex and hard to manage it was. Furthermore, these members were not otherworldly demons, they were not even fate escapees. They could not be used to resist heaven's will. Thus, back then, Spectral Soul's GU refinement plan did not involve these people. If he mobilized them, would they listen? Even if they did, there was a high chance that heaven's will would make use of them. It was not worth it. But at this moment, Shadow Sect's plan failed, they were dealt a huge blow. After rebirth, Ying Wuxie had to make use of the strength of Defy. His experience in borrowing GU was not very successful. Most GU Immortals gave lots of excuses. Immortal GU were very precious, the identities of the members of Defy were kept secret, they did not know each other, the organization was not strict in enforcement. How difficult would it be to borrow GU? Only people like Unmoving Mountain Gong Sun Liang, these demonic path GU Immortals without any support would need to make use of Defy in order to escape from the pursuit of Central Continent's righteous path, and avoid deductions. He could not leave Defy, thus, even if he did not want to, he had to take a risk and lend the Immortal GU to Ying Wuxie. Ying Wuxie tried for a long time to borrow GU, while Fang Yuan's GU worms were in the processing of self-detonating one by one. Eventually, even though Ying Wuxie managed to suppress them, and prevented the GU worms from continuing to self-detonate, his losses were severe. Fang Yuan, good job. You were really resolute in cutting your losses. In the darkness, Ying Wuxie had a grim expression, but only a person with your caliber would be able to obtain Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU, after all. After suppressing Fang Yuan's GU worms, Ying Wuxie used the borrowed Immortal GU to get rid of Fang Yuan's fake will in his mind. Just as he was about to continue and use the Immortal GU to make Fang Yuan's GU worms his, he had a feeling as he noticed He Lu Lan's actions. He Lu Lan was sitting on a rock bed, opening her eyes. She was frowning, as worry flashed across deeply in her eyes. In the room, from a corner within the darkness, Ying Wuxie's voice could be heard. He Lu Lan, you can stop trying. In this place, it is impossible for you to use Connecting Heaven GU to reach Treasure Yellow Heaven. He Lu Lan's gaze shined, she was about to speak. At this moment, Ying Wuxie continued, you don't have to pretend and lie to me. I know you are suspicious of my identity, then I will tell you. That's right, I am not Fang Yuan, I am Ying Wuxie. He Lu Lan's expression changed. She was not Tai Bai Yun Shang, she was not easy to fool. After Fang Yuan woke up, he acted strangely. He Lu Lan held back her suspicions because they had to use fixed immortal travel to escape first. But to think that Ying Wuxie brought her here. There was a super GU formation here, the defenses were tight, actually preventing Connecting Heaven GU from use. She could not connect to Treasure Yellow Heaven. After He Lu Lan failed to reach Treasure Yellow Heaven, she realized that Ying Wuxie's identity was even more suspicious. But now, Ying Wuxie directly told her the truth. He Lu Lan did not know how to react. You know my identity, Ying Wuxie's voice continued. I am one of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's split souls, I took over Fang Yuan's body. You have two choices now, one is to die, the other is to abandon Fang Yuan and join me. For Ying Wuxie, He Lu Lan had the great strength true martial physique, and was someone who escaped fate, she was a high-quality pawn. But if He Lu Lan did not know what was good for her, he would kill her with no reservations. He could use He Lu Lan's corpse to revive his current body. Using the GU formation here, Ying Wuxie was completely confident in taking down He Lu Lan. Chapter 1031, Flawless. He Lu Lan was startled and furious. Ying Wuxie's sudden declaration made her situation very passive. Even though He Lu Lan did not know that Ying Wuxie was one of Spectral Soul's split souls, she had experienced the Battle of Yitian Mountain, she was aware that Ying Wuxie, Shadow Sect, and Spectral Soul were on the same side. In the Battle of Yitian Mountain, He Lu Lan's aunts, Blazing Heaven Demoness and Fairy Li Shan, had died one after the other. These two people were the only two remaining family members that He Lu Lan cared about. As Shadow Sect was the culprit for killing Blazing Heaven Demoness and Fairy Li Shan, He Lu Lan's hatred was immense. Ying Wuxie knew this but disregarded it. He directly approached her and forced He Lu Lan to surrender. If she did not, he would kill her. Even though Ying Wuxie was in Fang Yuan's body and was a rank 6 immortal zombie, he had the rank 7 GU immortal she knew with him, who had high battle strength. Most crucially, he had a super GU formation set up here. It was able to prevent Heavenly Court from investigating the place, and could resist the attacks of the wild beasts living in Earth Abyss. Being able to protect Bo Qing's remnant soul for so many years, this GU formation was extraordinary. This was Ying Wuxie's greatest assurance. Even though Ying Wuxie was only a split soul, he had inherited Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's killing nature and firm personality. He Lu Lan's expression was dark, deep hatred was flickering in her eyes. Since Ying Wuxie is fearlessly challenging me, he surely has made preparations and is fully confident. The other party's capabilities are unfathomable, and they have a close relationship with Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. If I resist, I would likely end up dead. I can only endure this and find a good opportunity later. While having such thoughts, He Lu Lan snorted, speaking, your Shadow Sect killed 2 of my family members, you want me to join you, aren't you afraid I will betray you? He. Ying Wuxie's laughter could be heard, what is there to fear? Pausing for a while, he continued, firstly, I am strong while you are weak, there is nothing to fear. Secondly, I have information path methods to restrict you using an alliance agreement. Thirdly, I understand your personality. You have not taken revenge yet. He Cheng is still alive, are you satisfied with this ending? Even if you already had killed He Cheng, you would endure this for now and cultivate, finding a chance to take revenge in the future. He Lu Lan was silent. Hearing that Ying Wuxie was so aware of her personality, He Lu Lan's heart sank. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will never be defeated. He Lu Lan did not expect Ying Wuxie to know so much about her. In contrast, she knew nearly nothing about him. This was caused by Fang Yuan. Back then, old man Yan Shi and Shadow Sect found out something wrong with Fang Yuan and used Heavenly Secret GU to deduce matters about him. As someone close to Fang Yuan, He Lu Lan was implicated. Shadow Sect collected information about her, deducing many details. Ying Wuxie originally did not know, but because of the Red Lotus true inheritance in the River of Time, he received the guidance of Spectral Soul's will. He learned much about He Lu Lan. Seeing He Lu Lan become silent, Ying Wuxie showed great patience. He did not rush her. There was only a hint of light in this simple room. He Lu Lan's entire body was nearly shrouded in darkness. A long while later, she spoke. You want to recruit me to deal with whom? If you want me to fight against Heavenly Court, you might as well kill me now. Ha ha ha, Ying Wuxie laughed. No need to probe me, He Lu Lan. I want to recruit you to deal with Fang Yuan. Bright light flashed in He Lu Lan's eyes, her pitch became higher. Oh, it seems Fang Yuan isn't dead yet. Not only did he survive, he has obtained great gains. Hatred could not be concealed in Ying Wuxie's tone. You want to make use of me to harm Fang Yuan and take who Immortal blessed land for you? He Lu Lan continued asking. HMPH. Ying Wuxie smiled coldly. Fang Yuan's who Immortal blessed land and star form blessed land should be empty already. The cultivation resources inside, including Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley, were all moved to Langya blessed land. Langya blessed land? Hee, it is the place where you and Fairy Li Shan fought against Qinbai Sheng, He Cheng, and Zhang Yu. Why, Fang Yuan didn't tell you? Ying Wuxie asked. He Lu Lan sank into silence. Ying Wuxie continued. Langya blessed land was the immortal aperture left behind by long-hair ancestor. It is a former grotto heaven that had fallen to a blessed land. But its foundation is so abundant that it could be said to be the #1 blessed land in the 5 regions. Imperial Court blessed land is already destroyed, no other blessed lands can match it. Fang Yuan not only moved his resources into Langya blessed land, he even joined Langya sect, betraying humans and becoming the lackey of hairy men. He Lu Lan heard this and her gaze flickered. Ying Wuxie seemed to know her thoughts. He continued speaking with a smile. You guessed right. I have an insider in Langya blessed land. I know everything that happens inside Langya blessed land. Fang Yuan will not be running around for long, you can only survive by joining me. The sights of Yitian Mountain appeared in He Lu Lan's mind again. Spectral Soul's gigantic body was deeply ingrained in her mind. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, He Lu Lan muttered internally. She gradually closed her eyes, saying solemnly, the circumstances are not in my favor, I will join you. But I will remind you, even if you want me to deal with Fang Yuan, we still have an active alliance agreement. Merely an alliance agreement, I can get rid of it for you easily. Ying Wuxie said confidently. But He Lu Lan said, are you sure? Back then, when we made the alliance agreement, it was stated very clearly, if any side breaks the alliance agreement, the other party would not need to follow it anymore. Ying Wuxie felt that this was turning troublesome. Oh, so if I help you get rid of the alliance agreement, I will be helping Fang Yuan indirectly. He Lu Lan nodded. Precisely. Fang Yuan had included this line back then because he was afraid of Fairy Li Shan secretly removing the alliance agreement. After all, she primarily cultivated information path. Fang Yuan had to guard against her. But things changed too quickly, unexpected events happened in life. Fairy Li Shan died, and Ying Wuxie wanted to help He Lu Lan remove the alliance agreement. The essence of alliance agreements is the use of information path methods to leave information path Dao marks on both the body and the soul. To remove the alliance agreement, I have to get rid of the information path Dao marks. Ying Wuxie thought. It is very easy for me to get rid of He Lu Lan's information path Dao marks. Using this super GU formation and my GU worms, I can accomplish it. But this way, I will be helping Fang Yuan too. Ying Wuxie did not want that. In his opinion, the best situation would be that He Lu Lan was free from the alliance agreement, while Fang Yuan was still restricted by it. In this way, he could use He Lu Lan to deal with Fang Yuan, he would have a huge advantage. Actually, it is not impossible to achieve that. As long as I can find the corresponding information path Dao marks and remove them first. On He Lu Lan's body, there had to be one or multiple information path Dao marks that represented the condition. If one side breaks the alliance agreement, the other party did not need to follow it. And these information path Dao marks had to be related to the other information path Dao marks. Ying Wuxie only needed to remove these information path Dao marks first, before removing the others to achieve the result that he wanted. In the future, he could use this alliance agreement to restrict Fang Yuan. But to do that, it is very difficult. Ying Wuxie was frowning more deeply. Using an inappropriate analogy, the alliance agreement between Fang Yuan and He Lu Lan was like 2 interlinked bombs strapped onto them. Whichever side broke the alliance agreement would cause their bomb to explode, and they would suffer a severe punishment. Ying Wuxie had the ability to remove He Lulan's bomb now, but that would cause Fang Yuan's bomb to deactivate as well. This was not what Ying Wuxie wanted. But to get the result he wanted, he needed to get rid of He Lulan's bomb while finding that crucial wire or multiple wires to remove first. It was very difficult to do that. Ying Wuxie did not have the attainment level, and he did not have corresponding immortal GU either. Damn it, this Fang Yuan does things so flawlessly. Ying Wuxie felt stifled internally. If it were before the Battle of Yitian Mountain, it would be easy for him to do this. He only needed to ask the other members of Shadow Sect to do it, there was even Spectral Soul's main body. But the situation now was different from the past. After the Battle of Yitian Mountain, Shadow Sect's plan failed, they faced massive losses, only a small portion of their forces were left in the 5 regions. Ying Wuxie knew that even if he rebuilt Shadow Sect and combined all of the remaining forces, he could not reach its former level again. In this way, He Lulan's value is greatly diminished. Should I kill her and turn her into a great strength true martial immortal zombie, allowing me to obtain a life and death immortal aperture to revive? Ying Wuxie had an idea. But after considering it, he gave up on the idea. Reviving with a life and death immortal aperture has a huge flaw. If I am unlucky, the immortal aperture might explode. I might as well use normal immortal zombies to create a stable life and death immortal aperture. Thinking about the life and death immortal aperture, Ying Wuxie naturally thought about sovereign immortal fetus GU. At once, he gritted his teeth, feeling his hatred towards Fang Yuan intensify. After Shadow Sect created the life and death immortal aperture revival method, they had performed many experiments and found lots of problems with it. Next, they paid a huge price to modify it step by step. Eventually, even Spectral Soul's main body joined in, using the essence of human path, transformation path, and heaven path to create the immortal GU recipe for sovereign immortal fetus GU. Fang Yuan snatched sovereign immortal fetus GU and obtained the 9-5 sovereign immortal aperture, he ascended to heaven in a single leap. Shadow Sect's countless years of effort and hard work had turned to nothing. Such deep hatred could not be expressed in words. Forget it, I should let He Lulan off. I am too short on manpower now. He Lulan's aptitude is great, she can be a very good lackey. Fang Yuan, you will end up in my hands one day, by then, I will pull out all of your tendons, I will use every inch of flesh and skin on your body to refine the sovereign immortal fetus GU again. Chapter 1032, Treasure Yellow Heaven transports GU worms. Well, have you considered it? You are an external supreme elder of Langya sect, you can use your sect contribution points to exchange for the method. Langya Land Spirit smiled. Over in Central Continent, He Lulan was forced by Ying Wuxie and had no choice but to submit. Fang Yuan did not know this and was contacting Langya Land Spirit. Speaking of the method to counter Spring Autumn Cicada, Langya Land Spirit was indeed formed from long-hair ancestor, he had a deep foundation. In their earlier conversation, Fang Yuan was shocked to find out that Langya Land Spirit had more than 10 methods. All of them were effective in dealing with Spring Autumn Cicada. These methods involved many aspects, with so many choices. At this moment, Fang Yuan felt a bit uncertain. But he quickly focused his mind, asking as he thought of something, I have a question, how many sect contribution points do I have? 300. Langya Land Spirit hesitated for a moment before answering. 300, Fang Yuan frowned, he knew that he had not done anything for Langya sect yet after joining it. This amount of sect contribution was obtained because he had lent Danghun Mountain, Luopo Valley, and Wisdom GU to Langya Land Spirit. However, either of Danghun Mountain, Luopo Valley, or Wisdom GU were unparalleled things, they were only worth 300 sect contribution points. Immediately, Fang Yuan had some suspicion, but he did not question him, he asked in a roundabout manner, First Supreme Elder, I am not sure how your 300 points were calculated, I would like you to explain for me. Langya Land Spirit heard Fang Yuan call him, First Supreme Elder, and felt very pleased internally. He said frankly, this is very simple. Danghun Mountain counts as 100, Luopo Valley counts as 100, and Wisdom GU is also 100. Fang Yuan's tone became lower. Wisdom GU is a rank 9 immortal GU, why is it worth the same number as Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley? No need to be suspicious. Langya Land Spirit quickly answered. You lent all 3 of them to the sect, but my Langya sect has to bear the expenditure of the Earth Chi, and the feeding of Wisdom GU. 300 sect contribution points are given to you according to the rules in the sect. I know that fairness is required for a sect to grow, Don't worry, we will not shortchange whatever is rightfully yours, but we will also not give you extra that you did not earn. After pausing for a while, Langya Land Spirit continued. Of course, if you contributed them to the sect, the contribution points would be much higher. It is possible for you to become the first supreme elder of the sect as well. Fang Yuan heard this and couldn't help but feel excitement. Becoming the first supreme elder of Langya sect, wouldn't he obtain the highest authority? Even if he was not the owner of Langya Blessed Land, he would be able to mobilize the hairy man Gu immortals inside Langya Blessed Land, right? But quickly, Langya Land Spirit said, but for you to become the first supreme elder, you need to get rid of your human status and become a true hairy man. Only an exceptional hairy man can be the leader of the hairy men. Langya Land Spirit's tone was full of confidence towards the ideology of hairy man rulership. Fang Yuan dispelled his earlier thoughts. He had no doubt that Langya Land Spirit had methods to turn humans into hairy men. But if Fang Yuan became a hairy man, the price was too great. Most fundamentally, the current trend of human dominance could not be overturned. Hairy men and other variant humans, even if they became immortals, would be pushed aside and ostracized. Furthermore, hairy men and the other variant humans were flawed to begin with, they could not become rank 9 venerables. Fang Yuan aspired to reach immortality, cultivation was only a tool. But evidently, the higher his cultivation level, the closer he would be to this goal. This logic was simple. Between an ant and a tree, which one was closer to eternal life? Fang Yuan only had 300 sect contribution points. Langya Land Spirit calculated the amount very precisely. He did not give Fang Yuan 1 point less or 1 point more. Fang Yuan sensed keenly that these 300 sect contribution points were very precious, they had great value, if he used them wisely, they would be a huge help towards him. Thus, after he thought over it, he did not spend these contribution points rashly to obtain one of the ways to counter Spring-Autumn Cicada. At the other end, Langya Land Spirit said, sect contribution points are meant to be used. Don't be too stingy with them, we have many sect missions for you. As long as you complete one, your sect contribution points will increase. Oh, what kinds of missions? Fang Yuan asked lightly. Langya Land Spirit wanted to make use of Fang Yuan's strength, he naturally explained them to him. Fang Yuan soon shook his head, disappointment was all over his face. These sect missions were split into 2 types. One was to collect Gu refinement materials, the other was to spar with the hairy man Gu immortals and nurture their fighting skills. Earlier, after Qin Bai Sheng and the rest attacked Langya Blessed Land, Langya Land Spirit turned from the shape of a human and white-haired land spirit to a hairy man and black-haired land spirit. The management of Langya Blessed Land had changed drastically. The black-haired land spirit wanted hairy men to be the rulers, the overlords of the Gu world, to trample on humans and all other races. Thus, he tried to train his hairy man Gu immortals, wanting to raise their battle strength. Before this, these hairy man Gu immortals only knew how to refine Gu, they did not even train normally, their battle strength could not be said to even be at the dregs. Currently, Fang Yuan did not have the time to help the black-haired land spirit search for Gu refinement materials, or be the nanny of the hairy man Gu immortals. How about this, First Supreme Elder, I lack Gu worms now. Could you buy some southern border Gu worms from Treasure Yellow Heaven and inspect to check that they are not tampered with? If they are fine, send them over to me. Fang Yuan changed the topic, listing his needs. Langya Land Spirit did not reject this. Batches of Gu worms quickly passed through connecting Heaven Gu via Treasure Yellow Heaven, reaching Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. The first batch was a large number of mortal Gu, including wine sack flower Gu, rice pouch grass Gu, spring water Gu, eating wind drinking dew Gu and others. The situation now was different. Earlier, Fang Yuan was an immortal zombie, he did not need to eat. But now that he had revived, his body was alive, he needed to consume food and water. Even Gu immortals would die if they did not eat, unless they had the relevant food path Dao marks. Other than these food path mortal Gu, there was also some clothing Gu. Fang Yuan was not satisfied with fire cape Gu and flying smoke Gu, the effect of the flames was too eye-catching, they were unnecessary. After acquiring these clothing Gu, he immediately changed his clothes. There were also Gu for housing. For example, the wood path Gu worm, 3-star cave. After it was used, it would turn into a tree house with space in the trunk. The second batch provided was moving perspective cup Gu and Stargate Gu. It was not safe to use Treasure Yellow Heaven. Treasure Yellow Heaven was an open market, it was not a secret channel. Moving Perspective Cup GU used the space door to transport objects, it bypassed the 5 regions' regional walls, it was a superb mortal GU. Be it the Moving Perspective Cup GU recipe or Stargate GU recipe, Langya Land Spirit had already obtained them from Fang Yuan. According to the previous Langya Land Spirit's personality, he would have refined a lot of them. Thus, these 2 GU worms were directly taken out from Langya Blessed Land. Once they entered Treasure Yellow Heaven, the 2 GU worms shined with bright treasure light, it drew the attention of many GU immortals. They were mortal GU, but the treasure light was really very bright, it was out of the ordinary. This special situation drew the attention of many GU immortals, they went to ask but Langya Land Spirit rejected them. The third batch was also mortal GU, they came from Langya Sect storage, Fang Yuan wanted to use them to test his sovereign immortal aperture. The earlier tests were only observations on the surface. To learn about the secrets of the sovereign immortal aperture, he needed to use GU worms as tools. The fourth batch was the main objective. Sword Immortal Bo Qing's Sword Path Immortal GU. Fang Yuan stole quite a number of immortal GU from Immortal Zombie Bo Qing, he used the Light of Wisdom and Wisdom Path methods to deceive these immortal GU temporarily, as he gradually refined them. Before joining the Battle of Yitian Mountain, he only managed to refine Change Soul Immortal GU. And during the crucial moment in the Battle of Yitian Mountain, he used it to turn the situation around. Right now, Change Soul Immortal GU was still in Fang Yuan's hands. As for the other Sword Path Immortal GU, they were filled with Bo Qing's will, they were much harder to refine compared to Change Soul Immortal GU. They were left inside Hu Immortal Blessed Land, and were not brought to Yitian Mountain by Fang Yuan. After all, these immortal GU were not refined, they could not be used even if they were brought. As it turned out, it was lucky that Fang Yuan did not bring them. Otherwise, according to what happened, these immortal GU would be left in his body and become Ying Wuxia's property. These Sword Path Immortal GU were the Rank 8 Wisdom Sword GU, Rank 7 Sword Escape GU, Rank 7 Sword Eyebrows GU and Rank 7 Flying Sword GU. Langya Land Spirit only sent Sword Escape Immortal GU and Flying Sword GU over to Fang Yuan. The two of them made an instant transaction. At the first moment, Fang Yuan used a rock that he picked up to buy Sword Escape Immortal GU and Flying Sword GU. The treasure light is hundreds of meters tall, what happened? Transaction of Immortal GU. How is this possible? I saw it earlier. Someone bought 2 Rank 7 Immortal GU immediately, they were so fast that no one could react. Buying 2 Rank 7 Immortal GU. Heavens, I do not even have a single Rank 6 Immortal GU, who is that rich? The earlier few batches of GU worms had already attracted some attention. With this transfer, involving Immortal GU, heated discussions were occurring in Treasure Yellow Heaven. The trading of Immortal GU was usually done through exchanges of Immortal GU, they were rare even in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Thus, Fang Yuan and Langya Land Spirit's transaction was like a rock that was thrown into a calm lake, ripples formed immediately. 2 Immortal GU each having around 300 meters of treasure light. But the other party paid with a rock. A lucky GU immortal who witnessed the transaction transmitted using his divine sense. This information caused more heated discussion between GU immortals again. Impossible. A rock? Are you kidding me? This is not a normal transaction, they are using Treasure Yellow Heaven to transfer GU worms. Even if they are transporting Immortal GU, it is very rare. Treasure Yellow Heaven's fee is charged according to the treasure light's height. At once, countless divine senses conversed in Treasure Yellow Heaven, the wills of many GU immortals were engaging in conversation enthusiastically. The commotion was similar to a mortal fish market. Because of Fang Yuan and Langya Land Spirit, the entirety of Treasure Yellow Heaven was in chaos. Chapter 1033, Taking Large Strides with Unwavering Determination. Southern border, on the peak of a nameless mountain. Fang Yuan held Sword Escape Immortal GU in his left hand, and Flying Sword GU in his right hand. He observed them. Sword Escape Immortal GU was like a golden bee, while Flying Sword Immortal GU was like a silver-winged dragonfly. Both had their merits. The first was a Movement Immortal GU, it was extremely fast, not inferior to the Rank 7 Chi Escape Immortal GU. The second was very famous in history, it was Bo Qing's most used offensive and defensive GU worm. The aura of Rank 7 was oozing. Fang Yuan smiled as he stored the 2 Immortal GU. After Yitian Mountain, the Sword Path Immortal GU were all successfully refined under the Light of Wisdom, becoming Fang Yuan's GU. These 2 Immortal GU were among them, Fang Yuan could use them now. With these 2 Immortal GU, Fang Yuan felt more assured about his safety. Earlier, he had Attitude GU, Change Soul Immortal GU, and Unravel Mystery Immortal GU. He lacked movement and attacking methods. With these two Immortal GU now, Fang Yuan's weakness was alleviated, his battle strength surged. If he met Huo Kongdong again, Fang Yuan could use his Immortal GU to kill him. He had stopped using Connecting Heaven GU. Because Lang Ya Land Spirit sent Sword Escape and Flying Sword, two rank 7 Immortal GU, Treasure Yellow Heaven was in a commotion, more and more GU Immortals were joining in and discussing the matter. In the GU Immortal world, rank 6 GU Immortals were the majority. And among them, a large portion did not have any rank 6 Immortal GU. Thus, this transaction that involved two rank 7 Immortal GU had such a huge impact. Treasure Yellow Heaven was an open market, secrets could not be kept. Fang Yuan had no choice but to use Treasure Yellow Heaven to transport his Immortal GU. After obtaining two Sword Path Immortal GU, he stopped using Connecting Heaven GU, allowing Treasure Yellow Heaven to dwell in that commotion on its own. Using Moving Perspective Cup GU, he continued to communicate with Lang Ya Land Spirit. Just now, you spent 30 sect contribution points. Lang Ya Land Spirit said. It was not free to use Treasure Yellow Heaven to transport GU worms. Treasure Yellow Heaven would take a cut from every transaction. According to the Treasure Light, the higher it was, the larger the processing fee. The processing fee was paid by Lang Ya Land Spirit. He converted them into sect contribution points in Lang Ya sect and deducted them from Fang Yuan. Thus, Fang Yuan's sect contribution points fell, he had 270 left. Of course, a portion of the 30 points had been used on Fang Yuan's purchase of different mortal GU. I want to talk to you about the trade of guts GU. Fang Yuan replied. This discussion took a long time. Only until late at night, both sides came to a detailed agreement, concluding their negotiation. Trade of guts GU. Fang Yuan's eyes shone, excitement was still lingering on his face. The winds of night blew, they were cold but were unable to extinguish the fire inside him. All along, Fang Yuan's guts GU trade had been restricted by the number of hairy man slaves. Because guts GU needed airsac GU as the container to leave Danghun Mountain, and to be sold outside. But airsac GU needed Heilu Land's strength Chi Immortal GU as the GU refinement material, and the hairy man slaves needed to refine it continuously. Now, Heilu Land was missing, and strength Chi Immortal GU was not with Fang Yuan. But this was okay. Long ago, Fang Yuan had used the light of wisdom to deduce a new recipe. He had been keeping it a secret because he wanted to maintain his cooperation with Heilu Land. Therefore, the number of hairy man slaves was the main limitation towards this trade. And it was very difficult to increase the number of hairy man slaves. Firstly, hairy man slaves were the most expensive among variant human slaves in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Especially those skilled in refinement, they were even pricier. Secondly, the process of refining GU was filled with danger, hairy man slaves would die during the process. Thus, even though Fang Yuan replenished many hairy man slaves, inside Hu Immortal Blessed Land, their numbers did not increase. Fang Yuan wanted to raise his own hairy men, but because he did not have the methods to do so, he could not execute this idea. But right now, Fang Yuan had joined Lang Ya sect. How many hairy men were there in Lang Ya Blessed Land? It was an unimaginable number. This blessed land was perhaps the most populous location for hairy men in the whole 5 regions. Fang Yuan had his motives in lending Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley to Lang Ya sect. Using the vast number of hairy men in Lang Ya Blessed Land to refine airsac GU for him, the number of guts GU produced would far exceed Fang Yuan's previous scale, his profits would rise to an unprecedented level. As long as it is inside Treasure Yellow Heaven, even if Central Continent attempts to suppress it, so what? The trade of guts GU will not be affected. I am really excited. According to our negotiation, even if Lang Ya sect takes more than half of the benefits, my profits each month from the guts GU trade would reach 6,000 Immortal Essence Stones. Before this, Fang Yuan's total profits, including his other businesses, only reached 2,000 Immortal Essence Stones a month. Now that he joined Lang Ya sect, with just the guts GU trade, he could obtain 6,000 Immortal Essence Stones a month. This was a number that many rank 6 GU Immortals could not imagine. After rebirth, Fang Yuan had joined Lang Ya sect after deep and careful consideration. Firstly, one day, when Fang Yuan faces the pursuit of the entire world, which place was more reliable than Lang Ya Blessed Land? Others were targeting Fang Yuan's giant son true inheritance, but they were also after Lang Ya Blessed Land. After Lang Ya Land spirit transformed, he wanted to strengthen the hairy man race, he was a natural ally for Fang Yuan. Secondly, Langya blessed land was very powerful, it resisted 7 waves of attacks in the 500 years of his previous life. Thirdly, Langya land spirit could not lie, Fang Yuan would easily sense it should he decide to turn on him. With these 3 reasons, Fang Yuan joined Langya sect. Indeed, on the first night after reviving, he obtained a huge benefit. Fang Yuan not only used Langya land spirit to solve his dangerous situation, he even used Langya blessed land's foundation to increase his wealth. I have passed the weakest period after revival. Now, I need to inspect my 9-5 sovereign immortal aperture. This was a night without stars in the sky, cold winds were blowing. Fang Yuan entered the house Gu. After eating food, he inspected his immortal aperture. With so many mortal Gu, his efficiency in inspecting it was higher. It was a sleepless night. Around dawn, Fang Yuan left the 3-star cave Gu, seeing the start of the sunrise. Southern border was mountainous and foggy, when the sun rises, it would make the direction where it was facing look like a burning cloud. As the sun rose, the first light of dawn could be seen as golden red traces. Soon, light burst out, bringing heat along with it, like metal that had just come out of the furnace. The morning sun ascended slowly, the clouds between the mountain peaks were moving about, beautiful lights were created after the rays of sunlight hit them, there were gorgeous red clouds in the sky. In Fang Yuan's heart, a grand feeling of ambition was brewing. Ambitious mountains with steps firm as steel, taking large strides with unwavering determination. Taking risks to obtain the essence of the universe, my heart still seeks to rise beyond heaven. As he recited, Fang Yuan opened his arms like a bird, jumping down the cliff before ascending rapidly. It was as if he was stepping on the clouds, flying towards the southeast direction. After this night, he gained a greater understanding of the sovereign immortal aperture. The immortal aperture had a huge space of over 335,000 square kilometers. Not just that, there were rich time path resources, 1 day in the outside world was 2 months inside the sovereign immortal aperture. Heilu Lan's aperture, with her having the great strength true martial physique, was only at a 1:38 ratio with the outside world's time. But Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture was 1:60, it greatly exceeded that of Heilu Lan. But compared to the space in the immortal aperture, the time path aspect was not as impressive. But this was a huge relief to Fang Yuan. When the time flow in the immortal aperture was fast, calamities and tribulations would occur more frequently, and Fang Yuan would have bigger problems dealing with them. Perhaps Spectral Soul had considered this point when he was refining the Gu, at a ratio of 1:60, it surpassed super-grade blessed lands, but was not too exaggerated, Fang Yuan could handle it, although with difficulty. Other than time path resources, Fang Yuan also found 16 beads of green grape immortal essence in his sovereign immortal aperture. An immortal aperture that was alive was different from a dead one, it could produce immortal essence. 16 beads of immortal essence in a day, that meant 480 in a month, it was extraordinary, far surpassing Fang Yuan's previous life. Fang Yuan also found that his body was full of Dao marks. These Dao marks were of all paths. Fire path, water path, wood path, light path, dark path, even poison path and luck path were encompassed within. What shocked Fang Yuan more was that these Dao marks were not just high in variety, they were also of a large quantity. He could vaguely estimate that on average, each path had around 100 Dao marks. 100 Dao marks could amplify the effect of Gu worms by 10%. No wonder Fang Yuan could use the fire path fire cape Gu and flying smoke Gu to such an extent. But this discovery did not make Fang Yuan happy, he felt a bit grim. Gu immortals usually pursued one type of Dao mark. Because Dao marks could amplify the effect of Gu worms, they could also weaken and counteract them. For example, when a Gu immortal who cultivates water path and has water path Dao marks all over their body uses a fire path mortal Gu, the effect would be worse than a mortal Gu master. Even if Gu immortals cultivated more than one path, they would choose one to be primarily used. This was common sense in the Gu immortal world. But strangely, I used the mortal Gu of so many paths, but I did not feel any resistance and weakening from the Dao marks of other paths. In fact, the amplification is working normally. This goes against the logic of the cultivation world. What is going on? There is another point, any Gu master who ascends to immortal has a vital Gu. But my sovereign immortal aperture does not have one. What is going on? Towards the mystical properties of the sovereign immortal aperture, the deeper Fang Yuan explored it, the more questions appeared in his mind. I have already used all my methods for yesterday's investigation. It seems that to understand the mysteries behind the sovereign immortal aperture, I need to get answers from Spectral Soul, Shadow Sect and Yingwu Xie. But near Yitian Mountain, the changes are too large. With the dream realm manifested, southern border GU immortals would seal it up and turn it into a forbidden area for outsiders. And I also do not know Yingwu Xia's location. Forget it, the matter at hand is to find southern border's current generation Nishang. Chapter 1034, Man-Made Disaster. Southern border, Rotten Mud Mountain. It was noon, the sun was high in the air, it was a clear sky with no clouds in sight. At a certain area in a forest at the back of Rotten Mud Mountain, a youngster was fighting with a mature bear. The atmosphere was tense. The bear stood as tall as 3 meters in height, it had a bulky body and brown fur which was thick and shiny. At this moment, the bear was opening its mouth, revealing its sharp teeth as its red eyes stared at the young man with a ruthless look. The young man who was facing this bear was only 15 or 16 years old. He was only 5.5 feet tall. Compared to the bear, he was tiny and weak. But the young man's eyes were shining with vigor, he dared to face the bear head-on, without any fear. Roar! The brown bear growled, opening its mouth and pouncing at the young man. The brown bear might look clumsy and heavy, but any experienced hunter would know that it had incredible explosive strength. When the brown bear moves from a still position, its speed rises rapidly as it pushes forward. The young man only felt a gust of wind as the bear suddenly arrived in front of him. The young man's expression did not change, he activated his GU worm during the crucial moment. His movement GU allowed him to move away by a certain distance. The brown bear missed its target, it crashed into the tree behind the young man. With a loud sound, the thick tree trunk was snapped by the brown bear. With the falling of the tree, another loud sound was heard as it slammed on the ground. The surrounding birds flew away in panic. The young man let out a breath of cold air, thinking, thankfully, I dodged in time. If this bear hit me directly, even if I had defensive GU worms, my bones would break and I would suffer heavy injuries. However, after dodging this attack, the battle tilted in favor of the young man. The young man's eyes shined brightly, he cried out, "Stupid bear, feel the power of my sword Chi GU." Before he finished speaking, he had already stretched out his middle and index fingers on his right hand, pointing at the brown bear. The next moment, whoosh, with a soft sound, a burst of pale white translucent sword chi shot out of the young man's fingers. The sword chi flew through the air, hitting the brown bear's back. But there was the aura of wild GU on the brown bear. The fur on its back turned firm, becoming hard plates. The sword chi hit the hard plates and made a buzzing sound, as the sword chi dispersed. The brown bear's bulky body was completely uninjured. It shook its head as it recovered from the dizziness earlier, it turned around towards the young man. The young man was dumbfounded. What? This bear has a wild defensive GU. How can my sword chi GU hit it? Grandpa, did you intentionally put the wild GU on that brown bear? The young man shouted. He, grandson, I walked along the mountain's paths for over 10 li to find this brown bear. It is a great opponent for you. From the tree branches, a voice said this. It turned out that the young man's grandfather had been sitting on top of the tree, watching his grandson fight this brown bear. The young man's strongest method was sword chi GU. But against the brown bear, it had little effect. Each sword chi could only shave off some of the bear's fur. There was no choice, the young man could only dodge everywhere. The brown bear attacked fiercely, but it was a beast, it did not have enough intelligence. Even though the young man could not defeat the bear, he was agile and had much experience. Because of that, he dodged everywhere while causing the bear to crash into trees while fighting. Seeing the young man's difficult state, the grandfather laughed. Rascal, do you know sword Chigu's weakness now? It attacks by piercing. Once it is countered, you will waste your primeval essence with no damage dealt. Come, catch this GU. Saying this, the grandfather tossed a GU worm to the young man. In order to receive the GU worm, the young man was almost hit by the brown bear, he tumbled to the ground. But because he reacted quickly, he rolled away from the brown bear's bite. After getting some distance, he jumped and stood up again. This is Muddy GU. The young man cried out, recognizing this GU worm. This GU worm was not his, but his grandfather had lent it to him, the young man could use it with no problem. After injecting primeval essence into Muddy GU, the GU worm shined with a murky light. The young man's hand flicked, and the murky light on the GU worm left his hand, landing below the bear's feet. Goo goo goo. A large amount of bubbles emerged from the soil below the brown bear's feet. In the blink of an eye, this area became a pile of soft mud. The brown bear's 2 feet were stuck inside the mud. It struggled intensely, shaking off a lot of the mud on it. The young man was hit by mud on his body and face, but he did not care. He used muddy GU again. The murky light went into the pile of mud again. The brown bear was already stuck at the bottom of the mud. It struggled and was about to get out. But because of the light, the mud deepened. The brown bear's 4 limbs were stuck inside. The more it struggled, the more it sank. The bear stood on 2 legs, but the depth of the mud was already at its waist. When the young man used muddy GU for a 3rd time, victory was decided. The brown bear sank again. Eventually, only its head was exposed. It growled, unwilling to give in. I finally won. The young man was tired. He sat on the ground, breathing roughly. His face was pale. His primeval essence was almost expended. With a soft sound, the young man's grandfather jumped down from the tree, floating down slowly for several meters, landing in front of the young man. Rascal, you know the advantages of muddy GU now. Without this GU, how could you defeat the brown bear? The grandfather chided. The young man did not answer. He breathed roughly for a few seconds before snorting, looking at his grandfather. Grandpa, you did this on purpose. I know you want me to give up on sword path and cultivate our Ni clan's specialty, earth path, right? The grandfather raised his finger and tapped the young man's head. He said in a loving but bitter tone, Rascal, you are smart. It would be great if you could use it on your earth path cultivation. The young man had his face in his hands, saying, but I like sword chi. It is so cool when I shoot out sword chi. Earth path is so lame. Grandpa, look at me, I am covered in mud. After one battle, I lose all my coolness. The grandfather heard this and stared with wide eyes, about to scold him further. But at this moment, the bells from the base of the mountain started to ring. Both of them were startled. The young man jumped up, standing and looking at the base of the mountain, saying anxiously, Ah. This is the alert bell GU of the clan. The bell is ringing so rapidly, what happened? Go. The grandfather was more direct. He stretched out his arm and grabbed the young man, running towards the base of the mountain rapidly. The young man felt the wind blowing past him. All he saw were shadows of trees that rapidly moved behind him. He was shocked. This is the power of a rank 5 GU master. Such speed. After a dozen breaths of time, the young man's vision returned to normal as his grandfather put him down. With the sudden deceleration, he felt queasy. His stomach was churning as he almost vomited. Lord Clan Leader. Greetings to Lord Clan Leader. The young man heard the voices of clan elders. He tried to stand up, but realized that he was already at the wall surrounding Ni clan village. The young man's grandfather was Ni Kun, the current leader of Ni clan and a rank 5 GU master. Ni Kun frowned, asking with a serious expression, what happened? Why was alert bell GU used consecutively? Clan leader, the matter is urgent, take a look. A clan elder used the clan's GU formation. This was an investigative GU formation. It was directed to Ni Kun. Ni Kun's vision flashed with all sorts of images. In an instant, he saw a scene 100 li away from the village. His breathing paused. He frowned as he showed confusion on his face. A beast tide. Strange, we had already survived a beast tide a year ago. And the surrounding beast groups near the village are insufficient in forming a beast tide. That's right, we found it strange too. If there is an abnormality, there must be a cause. I suggest that we send our elite GU masters to investigative. Nevertheless, we should focus on defending ourselves. This beast tide is colossal. The question now is whether we can protect the village. Ni Kun's expression was grim. The danger had arrived so suddenly and severely. His grandson, Ni Jian, was staring blankly in a daze. Earlier, it was a calm and peaceful day, but now, his village was on the brink of destruction. The beast tide is fierce. An attack of this scale has not been seen in decades. Ni clan is facing a life and death situation. Activate all 3 layers of our defenses. Second elder, third elder, quickly go and lead our elites to use the heavenly fire GU formation. Sixth elder, lead the medicine hall and the medical team. Seventh elder, check our transportation GU formation. If anything goes wrong, send our youths away, Ni Kun ordered. The elders knew that the situation was dangerous. They moved immediately, showing firm determination. The beast group attacked like fierce waves, rushing forward relentlessly. Wherever they went, dust rose as trees in the mountain were snapped. The young man, Ni Jian, saw this on top of the village wall and felt immense fear. His expression turned pale. He had never seen such a fierce beast tide. Normally, beast tides came in one species, for example, a wolf tide, or a tiger tide. But now, this beast tide had many different types of beasts: wolves, tigers, leopards, bulls, deer, foxes, snakes, and more were mixed in. Strange. Why are these wild beasts not attacking each other? They are forming together and attacking our village. The grandfather Nikun mumbled. At the next moment, Nikun shuddered. The Ni clan Gu masters around him also stared with wide-opened eyes. The terrifying beast tide slowed down, before stopped entirely. An enormous group of beasts of all kinds stood 10,000 steps away from the village wall, watching the people in anticipation. Ni clan's Gu masters looked at each other, feeling uncertainty and fear. A mound tiger moved out. Mound tigers were mutated beasts. They had huge bodies, far larger than normal. They were like small mounds. Fang Yuan was lying on the mound tiger's back. His eyes were half open as he looked at Ni clan. Seeing Fang Yuan, Ni clan's Gu masters shouted in shock. Ni Jian's eyes were wide open. He finally realized, this beast tide was not a natural disaster, it was a man-made disaster. Chapter 1035. Heaven surveying 5 Shangs, Qi clan's 2 immortals. The sky was grand and vast. White clouds rumbled, moving below one's feet. A huge lion growled lowly as its 4 limbs stepped on the air, flying towards the cloud layer. This lion's body was like snow, it was completely white. Its thick mane swayed in the wind, strong air currents were created below its feet. On the lion's back, there was a huge chair. 2 Gu immortals, 1 male and 1 female, were sitting together. The female was old and looked like she was in her 60s, but her eyes were shining brightly. She was excited and could not sit still, looking around. And the male had the appearance of a young man. He had a sharp nose and long thin eyes. His body was emitting a cool and experienced aura. Great uncle, your steed is really amazing. It can travel on the clouds. In just half a day, we have already flown tens of thousands of li. The female Gu immortal praised. This is a desolate beast Qi Grand Lion. It is not flying on the clouds, but it has the ability to control air currents, thus it can fly. The young-looking man explained patiently. A lion that can control air currents and fly in the air, I have never seen such a thing. Desolate beast, what does that mean? The female Gu immortal asked. The young-looking male Gu immortal smiled silently. Chi-he, you just ascended to become a Gu immortal. It is normal that you do not know about common knowledge of the Gu immortal world. This Qi Grand Lion has Qi Path Dao marks on its body. Once it matures, it can soar through the skies. But this type of lion is very rare now. It is almost extinct in the 5 regions. It can only be seen in White Heaven and Black Heaven now. As for desolate beasts, they are a certain rank of beasts. Like how Gu masters have rank 1, rank 2 and rank 3, other than desolate beasts, there are ancient desolate beasts and immemorial desolate beasts. Desolate beasts are equivalent to rank 6 Gu immortals, because one desolate beast can fight evenly against a rank 6 Gu immortal. And ancient desolate beasts are equivalent to rank 7 Gu immortals, while immemorial desolate beasts are equivalent to rank 8 Gu immortals. The female Gu immortal, Chi-he, heard this and her eyes shined. She assessed the Qi Grand Lion again, thinking, no wonder I felt such danger from this lion. Thanks to great uncle, I survived the tribulation from ascension and became a Gu immortal. If I had to fight this lion, I might get torn to shreds. The young-looking Gu immortal, Qi Zai, was hundreds of years old. He had rank 7 cultivation level. He only looked so young because of lifespan Gu. He was old and experienced. Seeing Chi-he's face, he could guess what she was thinking. Stretching out his arm to pat this junior's shoulder, Qi Zai consoled, little he, don't worry, most people are like this after becoming immortal. When the matter I have to deal with is settled, we can return to Qi Si Grotto Heaven. Your seniors are there. If the seniors know that our Qi clan has another Gu immortal, they will be very happy. You will live in the Grotto Heaven for some time and learn from your elders. Remember to observe carefully and ask questions. Thank you for your advice, great uncle. Chi-he had a serious expression, standing up and bowing to Qi Zai solemnly. Let's sit down and talk. Qi Zai nodded, showing a proud expression on his face. Chi-he sat down, showing a confused expression. She hesitated for a while before saying, our Qi clan has a lot of Gu immortal elders, why are we not imitating southern border super forces like Wu clan and Shang clan? Qi Zai smiled as he said, you want to ask, why is it that we elders who have become Gu immortals are not acting like Wu clan and Shang clan, looking after our descendants? Instead, we allow our juniors to get bullied and suppressed, is that right? I wouldn't dare to, Chi-he said anxiously. In the past, when I had just become an immortal, I had the same question as you. Qi Zai sighed. He showed a look of reminiscence. The reason is quite complex, it will take some time to explain. The underlying cause of this relates to our Qi clan's ancestor. He was one of the heaven-surveying 5 Shangs thousands of years ago. Heaven-surveying 5 Shangs? Qi he asked. The heaven-surveying 5 Shangs were 5 publicly recognized GU Immortal experts in southern border during that time. The 5 of them had rank 8 cultivation level, at the peak of the GU Immortal world. They often collaborated and explored White Heaven and Black Heaven together. They had a close relationship, thus they were known as the heaven-surveying 5 Shangs. Our Qi clan ancestor was one of the 5 Shangs, Qi Shang. And our Qi clan cultivates Qi path primarily. Rank 8 GU Immortals. Qi he was lost for words. Qi Zai sighed. In the absence of rank 9, rank 8s dominate. Every rank 8 GU Immortal is a legend, their actions have huge impact. And back then, the heaven-surveying 5 Shangs were extremely famous, even in the other 4 regions. And because these 5 people had similar interests and a close relationship, they often fought enemies together. In most situations, rank 8 GU Immortals work alone. Thus, in White Heaven and Black Heaven, other rank 8 GU Immortals would avoid the heaven-surveying 5 Shangs if they encountered them. During that time, Southern Border's GU Immortal world had the edge over the other 4 regions because of the 5 Shangs. They had incredible fame. But dozens of years later, the heaven-surveying 5 Shangs disbanded. As he said that, Qi Zai's tone became deeper. Why, Qi he asked. Qi Zai sighed, continuing, I am not sure about the exact details. Supposedly, back then the heaven-surveying 5 Shangs found a huge secret while exploring White Heaven. This secret represented an unimaginable achievement, but only one person could obtain it. All of the 5 Shangs wanted to get it, but they did not relent. Because their strength was similar, and because of their relationship, they created a bet. Bet, that's right, this bet had a 1,000-year duration. The rules of the bet were, the 5 Shang could only watch as their descendants developed on their own. 1,000 years later, whichever clan had the most GU Immortals would be the winner. Qi he considered the time. 1,000 years had already passed. She quickly asked, then who won? Qi Zai smiled bitterly. 1,000 years later, 2 clans had the same number of GU Immortals. The victor could not be decided. The other 3 clans were unwilling to give up. Thus, with 2 clans against 3, another round of betting was decided upon. Thus, 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 3,000 years until now, the 5 ancestors already died long ago, but the bet is still ongoing. So that's it. Qi he heard this old secret and was tongue-tied. After a while, she accepted this fact and sighed. That means without this agreement, Southern Border would have 5 more super forces. But Qi Zai shook his head. Among the 5 Shangs, there were lone immortals and demonic path members. Developing clans is something only righteous path members generally have the patience to do. Our Qi clan had Qi Shang. Who are the other 4 Shangs? Qi he asked again. Qi Zai responded. Qi Shang, Ni Shang, Bai Shang, Shui Shang, Kai Shang. They were known as the heaven-surveying 5 Shangs. The following place I am going is where the current generation Ni Shang is. Why does great uncle want to go to Ni Shang? Qi Zai hesitated for a moment before smiling. All right, it is not an issue to tell you. Recently, a huge matter happened in Southern Border's GU Immortal world. Large numbers of GU Immortals died around Yitian Mountain. One of our elders from Qi clan died there. Thus, we are here to find the current generation Ni Shang, so that they can help us deduce the truth. Ah, Yitian Mountain, Qi he cried out. Regardless of what had occurred in Fang Yuan's previous life, this time around, the Battle of Yitian Mountain involved both mortals and immortals. Thus, Qi he had heard about it long ago. But she only knew that Southern Border's forces sent their mortal experts to attack Yitian Mountain and exterminate the demonic path in order to defend the righteous path. In Southern Border, there had been no demonic path power that was so brazen to create a force. Thus, the righteous path was trying to take them down. Qi Zai thus told Qi he the gambling contest of Yitian Mountain. Qi he finally realized that the truth was like this. She muttered, the difference between immortal and mortal is as far apart as clouds and mud. Those rank 4 and 5 experts are just pawns of the immortals. This truth had great impact towards Qi he, who had just become a GU immortal. Qi Zai heard this and smiled internally. When GU masters become immortals, not only would their strength and cultivation change, their mentality also had to change. At this moment, Qi Zai could use the matter of Yitian Mountain to stimulate Qi he's growth, so that she could adapt to her new identity. Soon, there was silence. Only the Qi Grand Lion was still running in the air. Qi Zai and Qi he had turned silent. Clouds moved around them, the world seemed vast. Because there were GU formations on the chairs, they did not feel any wind or noise. Could any mortal see such a sight? Chi-Hi saw this and felt how huge the world was. Mortals were like insects. Her complex feelings faded gradually. She thought, that's right, I am a Gu immortal, I am not a mortal anymore. Mortals and immortals are different, I need to remember this. After telling herself that, Chi-Hi's mood returned to normal, even her mind had undergone a change. Chi-Zai nodded internally at this, saying, actually, during these last few thousand years, among the descendants of the heaven surveying 5 Shangs, our Qi clan is the most prosperous. Shui Zhang's descendants cultivate blood path, they are almost wiped out. Kai Zhang's descendants are staying inside their immortal aperture and live like livestock, they do not have any urge to improve themselves, they are lazy and only want to eat, they are nothing significant. Bai Zhang's final traces of bloodline have all died recently. As for Ni Shang, even though they have several branches in southern border, there are no longer any Ni clan Gu immortals. Chi-Hi understood why, she nodded. Becoming an immortal is really difficult, if not for great uncle's help, I would have died in the calamity and tribulation already. Chi-Zai smiled, shaking his head as he said to Chi-Hi with deep meaning, actually, Ni clan had the most hope in producing Gu immortals. But because of that, the other clans obstructed them, resulting in their pitiful state now. 3,000 years after the bet was created, Ni clan had a greatly talented refinement path Gu immortal, Ni Ren, he was the final Gu immortal in Ni clan's history. Before dying, he planned for his clan's future. He broke the rules of the agreement, helping Ni clan in selecting immortal Gu to refine into his future descendants' bloodline. Chapter 1036, Grudge Chi Mudman. Ah, what does that mean? Once in a while, a Gu master in Ni clan would awaken their bloodline. If they survive, an immortal Gu would grow inside their body. Chi-Zai looked at the clouds in front of them as he continued saying, Ni Ren did that to help Ni clan produce Gu immortals. He was talented indeed. By refining immortal Gu into his descendants' bloodline, others could not take them away. Even if they tried to reverse refine it, it would fail. And these immortal Gu were specially chosen and could be used by mortals, although the price would be high. Chi-Hi blinked as she felt admiration towards Ni Ren. If I could have the help of immortal Gu, I might have been able to survive my calamity and tribulation alone. Chi-Zai suddenly laughed sinisterly, a cold aura emanating from his body. Ni Ren worked hard, but in the last few thousand years, there has not been a Gu immortal from Ni clan. The immortal Gu that he chose had too high of a cost, even if the mortal controlled an immortal Gu, and even if it could not be snatched away by others, this was still like a baby holding onto a treasure, how could they be safe? Once someone creates an immortal Gu in their body among Ni clan, we call them the current generation Ni Shang. The first immortal Gu created is an information path immortal Gu, called, yes or no. This Gu can get the information from heaven and earth, and be expressed by the Gu master, but they can only say either yes or no. Every time they answer a question, the Gu master would expend 50 years of lifespan. Chi-Hi's brows rose. 50 years of lifespan. This price is so huge. How can this current generation Ni Shang do it willingly? Chi-Zai smiled and did not answer. Chi-Hi's body slightly shook. She had over 60 years of life experience, she had gone through many things, she finally realized what Chi-Zai meant when he said this. Each answer costs the current generation Ni Shang 50 years of lifespan, how can they be willing? But great uncle is a Gu immortal, while the current generation Ni Shang is only immortal, does it matter if they are unwilling? Ni clan is in such a pathetic state now, most likely, they were schemed by Qi clan's ancestors. And my Qi clan is in a bad state. Do the senior Gu immortals really have no way to help? At once, Chi-Hi felt a chill. In their following journey, Chi-Hi became quiet, no longer speaking. Chi-Zai kept his mouth shut, he was someone who did not speak much to begin with. Just now, he spoke so much in order to educate the junior, Chi-Hi. Now that she was an immortal, she was one of Qi clan's Gu immortals. This action by Qi clan was by no means righteous. If newly included Gu immortals had beliefs that did not fit with it, there would inevitably be conflict among the members. Chi-Zai did not speak explicitly, but Chi-Hi had already understood his words. Rotten Mud Mountain is not far away. This time, I should let Chi-Hi handle this particular Ni clan. Even if the whole of the Ni clan here is sacrificed, there is no issue. Thinking of this, Chi-Zai's eyes shined with cold light. At Chi-Zai's will, the Qi Grand Lion descended. The scene was filled with white clouds. Soon, the Qi Grand Lion went below the cloud layer and Chi-Hi's field of vision expanded, she could see mountains, rivers, and forests below her. She had never seen such a grand sight when she was immortal, she was quite amazed. And among these mountains, there was a tall black mountain that was very eye-catching. It stood out among the other mountains. Even the trees on this mountain were brown-black in color. As they got closer, Chi-Zai's eyes focused. Soon, Chi-He also found something wrong. On the east side of the mountain, towards the sun, there was a village. But now, this village had already turned into ruins. Rivers of blood were everywhere, corpses were piled up on the ground. Not only were there human corpses, there were also beast corpses. What happened? Chi-He cried out. The Chi Grand Lion slowly landed on this bloody land, as the two Chi clan immortals looked at the battlefield. The intense smell of blood assaulted their noses. Chi-He was unable to bear watching this terrible sight. Chi-Zai had a cold and indifferent expression. He muttered, "Rotten Mud Mountain has a special property in the soil, the blood has not dried yet, evidently, Ni clan was slaughtered less than 1 or 2 days ago. Something's strange. There are many types of wild beasts here, it is not a normal beast tide. Ni clan was really unlucky to have encountered such a beast tide." Chi-He said. Chi-Zai looked on with a cold gaze. What beast tide? This is a man-made disaster. There is only one type of beast tide in Rotten Mud Mountain, that is the mud monster beast tide. Chi-He was shocked. What? Who is it? They are so cruel, doing something so immoral. But she then thought over it briefly and said, "This person can control a huge number and different types of beasts, they have an amazing method. Since when did Southern Border have such an amazing enslavement path GU master?" This person is not a GU master, it is a GU immortal. Chi-Zai walked to the middle of the village. At the center of the village ruins, there was a layer of black mud, it was a clear contrast to the surrounding blood. This Ni clan has control of a desolate beast mud monster. Although this mud monster is already close to dying, no matter how strong an enslavement path GU master they are, the beast tide would not be able to do anything to this desolate beast mud monster. This is the work of a GU immortal. Chi-Zai said grimly. GU immortal. Chi-He did not expect that it was a GU immortal. She felt strange. She had lived for decades without seeing a single GU immortal. To think that during her tribulation, she would meet her great uncle, and now there were traces of another GU immortal. I am a rank 6 GU immortal now, things are different, the people I can encounter are completely different as well. Chi-He thought to herself. Chi-Zai's expression was turning grimmer. He came here to find the current generation Ni Shang. But now, Ni clan village was completely wiped out, there was little hope of his plan succeeding. Killing the whole of Ni clan and leaving, I want to see who you really are. Chi-Zai snorted, deep killing intent appeared. You think that by doing this, I can't find you? How can the methods left by ancestor Qi Shang be ordinary methods? Chi-Zai said this as he stretched out his right hand. 2 of the fingers on his right hand curled inwards, only his thumb, index finger, and middle finger were pointed out. The 3 fingers tapped at the air. Chi-He did not think much of the small movements, but soon, the disturbance caused by this move was huge. Boom! The entirety of Rotten Mud Mountain shook, air currents moved and shook intensely, the rubble of the village, like snapped wooden bricks, were blown away by the strong wind. Chi-He took a step back, she was shocked by the huge force created. Howl howl howl, pale green aura rose up in all areas of the battlefield. At first, there were only a couple dozen of them, but soon, the number of traces of pale green aura rose to hundreds, then thousands, flying in the air. At once, the entire battlefield was covered in green light, it was a grand sight. Come, Chi-Zai shouted, 3 fingers were hooked, resembling a strong eagle claw. He grabbed at the pale green aura dancing in the air. The aura was affected by a strong suction force, gathering towards the eagle claw that Chi-Zai's hand resembled. In a few tens of breaths, the pale green aura in the air was completely gone, having fused into Chi-Zai's hand. Chi-Zai's hand was no longer of normal color, it had turned into a peculiar jade green. Great uncle, your hand. Chi-He only took a look and felt her body and mind tremble, an intense feeling of grudge assaulted her. You have just passed your immortal ascension, you are still very much like immortal, don't get close. Chi-Zai instructed, but his voice was still as low and calm as always. Chi-He nodded, taking a few steps back, turning her gaze around. Next, she heard Chi-Zai say, the pale green aura is the grudge chi that is scattered all over this battlefield. That GU immortal killed Ni clan's entire village, not even letting the children and elderly live, he was truly ruthless. Ni clan did not have a single survivor, they are naturally feeling grudge towards their fate and the person who killed them. The aura is not only left in the battlefield, they are still entangled around the murderer. Go, Chi-Zai shouted. At the same time, he opened his hand, slamming the pale green hand towards the black mud below him. In an instant, all of the grudge chi was sent into the mud by Chi Zai's action. This was not ordinary mud, it was filled with earth path Dao marks from the corpse of the desolate beast mud monster. Chi path has a long history, little he, watch closely, this is one of the signature methods of our Chi clan. Chi Zai could not conceal his pride. With a whooshing sound, the mud rumbled under Chi Zai's method, forming into a giant mud ball. The thick mud ball floated in the air, rotating on its own. On the surface of this mud ball, there were countless faces. These faces showed anger and hatred. Puff! Chi Zai breathed out, blowing out a breath of mystical aura. The aura entered the mud ball, as the latter quickly transformed into a monster made from mud. The mudman shouted, "Kill! I want to kill you!" Chi he gasped. A member of Ni clan revived. Chi Zai's method was simply unfathomable in her eyes. Ever since Fate Gu was broken, the world began to have many revival methods. Chi Zai explained, turning towards the frenzied mudman monster, asking, "What is your name?" Ah! The mudman monster was still shouting, its limbs were still moving around, expressing its rage. Chi Zai frowned, he asked again. The mudman monster did not listen, it continued cursing, "Murderer! You forced my grandpa to die. I will tear you into shreds." Chi Zai snorted as he shifted his thoughts. The mudman monster was created by him, he could naturally control it. "Who are you? You are a murderer too. I will also." The mudman monster's body shook as if it was hit by lightning, mud was falling off of its body. The cursing ended, the mudman monster calmed down, looking at Chi Zai and Chi He with its hollow eyes. Chi Zai let out a breath of air, he knew that this mudman monster had very low intelligence, it was made from grudge chi. Questions could not be asked too rapidly, he had to ask slowly and progressively. "What is your name?" "Ni Jian," the mudman monster shouted. Chi Zai misinterpreted his words as, "You bastard 1 foot," his eyes shined with cold light as he waved his sleeves while snorting. With a splat, the mudman monster broke apart, turning into a pile of mud on the ground. Chapter 1037, Difficulties of Three Parties. Chi Zai snorted, pointing his finger as the mud gathered into a mud ball again. On the surface of the mud ball, there were countless faces filled with hatred. Even though it was silent, this scene made Chi He feel a cold chill internally. Chi Zai waved his sleeve as the mud ball turned back into a mud monster again. Chi Zai gasped lightly, thinking, "This is the grudge chi from earlier. I had already dispelled this grudge chi once, but it could show up again by suppressing the other grudge chi and regaining form. It seems its owner had felt an immense grudge before dying." Chi Zai asked again, "What is your name?" "Ni Jian." This time, Chi Zai heard him clearly. Thus, he continued asking, "How old are you?" 15. Chi Zai asked as the mud monster answered. Chi Zai's questions gradually became more in-depth and more difficult. As time passed, after a while, Chi Zai finally learned what had happened in Ni clan. A mysterious Gu Immortal had controlled the beasts and attacked Ni clan village. His motive was like that of Chi Zai, it was to find the current generation Ni Shang. But unlike Chi Zai, he did not know who the current generation Ni Shang was. Thus, he used the lives of the entire village to threaten and force the current generation Ni Shang out. Without a choice, the Ni clan leader had to step up. As it turned out, he was the current generation Ni Shang who had yes or no immortal Gu in his body. The Gu Immortal was overjoyed, forcing the Ni clan leader to use yes or no immortal Gu and answer his question. He promised that as long as he received a satisfactory answer, he would spare Ni clan village. In order to protect the entire clan, the Ni clan leader chose to believe the Gu Immortal and sacrificed himself. After the mysterious Gu Immortal obtained the answer he wanted, he went back on his words and ordered the beasts to attack the village. Ni clan village felt furious and bore deep hatred, they resisted but fell back rapidly, suffering great losses due to the huge beast group. At the moment of life and death, the desolate beast mud monster that Chi Zai subdued came to save them. It turned out that the Ni clan villages that were scattered all over southern border were purposely preserved by Chi clan's Gu Immortals. Chi Zai was in charge of Rotten Mud Mountain, once in a while, he would do a check, thus, he knew that the current generation Ni Shang was Ni clan leader. He had subdued a desolate beast mud monster in a swamp of the mountain, leaving his will in it. This will manipulated the mud monster to protect Ni clan from mishaps. As the incident occurred, the mud monster rushed to the scene and protected Ni clan. But the mysterious Gu Immortal was very strong, he attacked personally and killed the mud monster after many attacks. Once the mud monster died, Ni clan's remaining clansmen were submerged by the beast group, not a single person survived. The peaceful Ni clan village had been turned into a ruin, corpses were everywhere, it was a pitiful sight. Days later, at this moment when Chi Zai and Chi He arrived, they found out about this. This Ni Jian was the young clan leader of the village, the grandson of the Ni clan leader. He had lost his parents at a young age, he was brought up by his grandfather and was carefully nurtured, they had a close relationship. His grandfather was forced into death by the enemy, and the enemy even went back on his word and killed the entire village, including himself. After he died, his soul was taken away, only his deep grudge was remaining and did not dissipate. Chi Zai asked one question at a time. Ni Jian had a deep impression of Fang Yuan, he said everything he knew. According to his answer, Chi Zai obtained an idea of Fang Yuan's appearance. This was a short but muscular old man, he had a black and white beard, he looked tough like steel nails. He was yellow-skinned and had small eyes, his teeth were unevenly positioned. Who was this? Chi Zai searched through his memories, but he did not recognize this person. Of course he did not. Fang Yuan was a vigilant person, even when facing unthreatening mortal GU masters, he still disguised himself and changed his appearance. Actually, even if Chi Zai had appeared personally and saw Fang Yuan, he would not be able to expose his disguise. Because not long ago, Fang Yuan had already obtained enough GU worms via Lang Ya land spirit to use the immortal killer move, familiar face. This GU immortal is likely a secluded cultivator in southern border Sai, it is a time of unrest. Chi Zai sighed to himself. Ever since the gambling contest on Yitian Mountain, a large number of southern borders GU immortals had died for some reason. And these southern border GU immortals who died were mostly those who controlled certain areas in southern border, they had control of countless cultivation resources. This way, a power vacuum was created. Many lurking GU immortals who were normally rarely seen started appearing one by one. This person had to attack the desolate beast mud monster many times, he does not have outstanding strength, he is likely to be a rank 6 GU immortal. He actually knows about the current generation Ni Shang, this secret is not known by Wu clan or Shang clan. Is he the descendant of one of the other 3 Shangs? Chi Zai hesitated for a moment before deciding to pursue him. Chi clan was already in sight of victory regarding the ancient bet by the heaven surveying 5 Shangs. But at this final juncture, a mysterious GU immortal appeared. This matter was extremely important, even more than investigating the deceased Chi clan GU immortal, he, Chi Zai, had to pursue it. Northern Plains, Langya blessed land. Gu. A basin of cold water was poured on Gu Fang Zheng's face. Fang Zheng, who was unconscious, shuddered, waking up instantly. Where is this? He opened his eyes, realizing that he was in a cage, as a captive. And around him, there were 2 hairy men wearing armor. One of them was carrying an empty basin, there was still water droplets inside. The other was holding a leather whip, sneering. Who are you? Where is this? Fang Zheng struggled intensely, but he was tied up and could not move. Kid, you are finally awake. You seem pretty lively, a hairy man prison guard said as he raised his leather whip, swinging it. With a loud cracking sound, the leather whip landed on Fang Zheng's chest, an intense pain assaulted him. His thin shirt was torn from the lashing, blood flowed out of his wound, dripping down. Fang Zheng sucked in a deep breath, his face was distorted as he screamed loudly. What are you screaming for? The hairy man prison guard had a fierce expression, he whipped again. This lash hit his face, he was disfigured. Fang Zheng screamed in pain again. The hairy man prison guard was even more excited now, he kept whipping as he spat out saliva. Dog shit human, go ahead and scream, scream. Fang Zheng was tortured and felt anguished, he was abused terribly. With the intense waves of pain assaulting him, he finally remembered, he was originally imprisoned in Hu Immortal blessed land by his brother, Fang Yuan, but one day, a large group of hairy men came and brought him away. What happened? What in the world happened? Fang Zheng was confused. But he was not confused for long, the pain soon caused him to faint. He fainted, this lad is really weak. Hee hee, pour some more cold water, wake him up. The 2 hairy men laughed sinisterly. The bone-chilling water was poured over Fang Zheng again. Fang Zheng's body spasmed, he opened his eyes slowly. His consciousness was returning, but the pain in his body was becoming clearer and more intense. The hairy man who whipped Fang Zheng took a huge step forward and stood in front of Fang Zheng. Next, he stretched out his hairy arm, grabbing Fang Zheng's face, gritting his teeth. Lad, don't think of surviving after ending up in our hands. Nobody will save you. Hu Immortal blessed land has already been taken over by our great hairy man GU Immortals, your brother died in battle already. Cooperate with us and we will let you die peacefully without much torture. Tell us, how much do you know about who Immortal blessed land? How much do you know about your brother's secrets? Fang Zheng heard this and felt that his mind was quaking. He was in a daze, looking at the hairy men in shock. He cried out, "What? Fang Yuan is dead. HMPH, he was attacked by our hairy man GU Immortals, as a mere immortal zombie, how could he not die? He has already been torn to shreds, ha ha ha. As hairy men are not to be trifled with. One day, we will attack and trample all humans under our feet." The two hairy man prison guards laughed. Fang Zheng knew little about GU Immortals, he was convinced by these two. His gaze was empty, he was dejected. Central continent, deep in earth abyss. In a dark room, He Lulan was sitting with her eyes shut. The door opened, Ying Wuxie stood outside. He Lulan opened her eyes slowly, she did not speak, only looking at him. Frankly speaking, the result of the Battle of Yitian Mountain was out of He Lulan's expectations. Seeing this familiar, Fang Yuan, He Lulan had complex emotions. "I have decided," Ying Wuxie said, breaking the silence. "Oh, I am listening," He Lulan said. She knew that the judgment of whether she lived or died had come. If Ying Wuxie was unwilling to get rid of the alliance agreement for her, she would definitely be killed. Evidently, since Ying Wuxie exposed his identity, he would not allow Fang Yuan's ally to stay around him. If Ying Wuxie decided to get rid of the alliance agreement and recruit He Lulan, she would be able to live. Ying Wuxie had hesitated for a long time. He wanted to use He Lulan to deal with Fang Yuan by getting rid of the alliance agreement only on her end. But Fairy Li Shan had deep information path attainment, and with Fang Yuan's meticulous planning, Ying Wuxie's plan failed before it even begun. He Lulan's value fell greatly. After all, He Lulan and Shadow Sect had a deep grudge. If breaking He Lulan's information path alliance agreement was the same as releasing Fang Yuan from it, he would have to use a new alliance agreement to restrict He Lulan. If he gave up on it, he would kill He Lulan. Even though he could not obtain her GU worms, her immortal aperture and the great strength true martial physique would remain. That way, Fang Yuan would still be bound by the alliance agreement, it could be used against him later. After considering the costs and benefits, Ying Wuxie made his decision. He opened his mouth slowly. Undoubtedly, at the next moment, his words would determine He Lulan's life or death. Chapter 1038, Rushing to Refine Fixed Immortal Travel. Green light flickered, red light shined like fire. The two lights fused, growing and weakening in intervals. The light faded gradually, the center of the formation turned into darkness again. He Lulan floated in the air in a sitting position, she opened her eyes, admiration flashed across her shocked gaze. Ying Wuxie belongs to Shadow Sect, he is a subordinate of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. I had thought that he would use Soul Path or Dark Path methods to get rid of the information path Dao marks on me. To think that he used Light Path, this shows how unfathomable Spectral Soul Demon Venerable and Shadow Sect are. Little Ant's information path attainment was already quasi-great Grandmaster. But Shadow Sect could actually break it using this Light Path GU formation. He Lulan's evaluation of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable and Shadow Sect rose by another level. The scene she viewed changed. In an instant, He Lulan had returned to the room she was in previously. I have already removed all of the information path Dao marks on you. Ying Wuxie stood at the side, saying calmly. After careful consideration, Ying Wuxie decided to preserve He Lulan's life. After all, his biggest mission now was not to deal with Fang Yuan, it was to pick up the pieces and rebuild Shadow Sect. He had to save Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's main body. Fang Yuan was a secondary goal. Even though Ying Wuxie hated Fang Yuan to the core, he would not lose his reasoning due to hatred. Precisely because of this, he knew his primary objective and decided to make He Lulan a member of his after some hesitation. She was a talented person. Great strength true martial physique, with Ying Wuxie's knowledge, and with some teaching, she would be a capable force in his hands. He Lulan inspected her body. She did not have any methods to observe her own Dao marks. After inspecting herself, she saw nothing wrong with her body. Of course, the emphasis was on her soul. But everyone knew that Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was the founder of Soul Path. Ying Wuxie smiled lightly. The old agreement is gone, you have a new alliance agreement now. From now on, you are my subordinate, you have to listen to my orders, you are not to defy me or hide anything from me. He Lulan snorted coldly, not showing any respect to Ying Wuxie. Since Ying Wuxie could get rid of her alliance agreement, his methods were proven to be superior to Fairy Li Shan. From now on, He Lulan no longer had freedom, she had to listen to every order from Ying Wuxie. But, For He Lulan, this was a helpless choice that she had to accept. The situation was not in her favor. If she resisted, she would die. As for the fact that she betrayed her ally Fang Yuan, He Lulan felt zero remorse. Her relationship with Fang Yuan originally was about scheming against each other for benefits, they were just making use of one another. In fact, she even felt hatred towards Fang Yuan. What do you want me to do next? Lure Fang Yuan here. I have Stargate GU, I can travel the 5 regions using Black Heaven. He Lulan said plainly. Without the alliance agreement, she exposed Fang Yuan's secrets without mercy. But Ying Wuxie shook his head, he said regretfully, I'm not afraid to tell you that Shadow Sect has a spy in Langya Blessed Land. We know about Stargate GU, even though this GU is amazing, it is effective on rank 6 bottom tier GU immortals at best. It cannot even transport a single immortal GU, you will be no match for the current Fang Yuan. Ying Wuxie obtained Spectral Soul's guidance in the Red Lotus True Inheritance, he knew a lot of secrets regarding Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU. He understood clearly that Fang Yuan's new body had a larger number of Dao marks. Fire path, water path, wind path, all of his paths had at least 100 Dao marks. That meant that the cumulative number of Dao marks that he had exceeded 1,000 for sure. With so many Dao marks, Fang Yuan could not use Stargate GU. The next step of my plan is to refine fixed immortal travel. Ying Wuxie said. He Lulan's eyes shined with bright light, she nodded. She knew about fixed immortal travel, this immortal GU was very useful, it was very wise of Ying Wuxie to refine it first. Fixed immortal travel has just been destroyed, there is a high chance of succeeding the refinement. But to refine fixed immortal travel, you will need divine travel GU, and to get divine travel GU, you will need 4 top-tier liquors within the world. Before He Lulan finished, Ying Wuxie interrupted her, divine travel GU is in Langya Land Spirit's hands. However, even though immortal GU like fixed immortal travel are unique, there isn't only one possible GU recipe. A city has multiple gates to enter it, the same goes for immortal GU. He Lulan was curious, this means you have a new recipe to refine fixed immortal travel. Of course, Ying Wuxie smiled, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was invincible in the world when he was alive, his accumulation and foundation was immense, and after his death he created Shadow Sect. Spectral Souls will inside the Red Lotus True Inheritance had formulated a series of plans for Ying Wuxie relating to fixed immortal travel. As the core of the plan, fixed immortal travel naturally could not have issues. Thus, Ying Wuxie had 3 immortal GU recipes of fixed immortal travel in his mind. All of them could be used to refine fixed immortal travel. Southern border, Fang Yuan traveled in the mountains. He had just slaughtered Ni Clan village single-handedly, right now, he was traveling as he assessed his gains and losses from the battle. Experiences were lessons, only by sorting out one's experiences could they learn from those experiences, allowing their foundation to rise and become more stable. Ni Clan's GU masters were not a concern, Fang Yuan only used some enslavement path methods to summon the huge number of beasts and trample over the village. No matter how many mortals there were, Fang Yuan did not need to attack personally. What made Fang Yuan fight was the desolate beast mud monster. This mud monster gave Fang Yuan a lot of problems before he killed it. In this battle, Fang Yuan learned a lot about his weakness. Even though I have rank 7 sword path GU, the immortal essence expenditure is too high. GU worms and GU masters both had 9 ranks, since ancient times, there was a common understanding in the cultivation world, that was, the GU master and GU worms rank should be equal. When the GU worm's rank was too low, the GU master would not be able to use their full strength. When the GU worm's rank was too high, the GU master would also be unable to use their full strength. Because, if the GU worm had a higher rank, the GU master would be like a baby holding a hammer, not only would it be difficult to use it to harm foes, the GU master themselves may also receive damage when using the hammer. Like earlier, when Fang Yuan used his rank 7 sword path GU against the desolate beast mud monster, he felt a sense of helplessness. Every time he used his sword path GU, the expended green grape immortal essence exceeded 100 beads. Fang Yuan's 9-5 sovereign immortal aperture could only produce 16 beads of immortal essence a day, it was not enough for one activation. Thankfully, he had taken a sum of immortal essence stones from Langya Land Spirit to replenish his immortal essence. Otherwise, in Ni Clan village, he would face much greater problems when dealing with the mud monster. I was hesitant earlier, but now it seems I must reverse refine these rank 7 sword path immortal GU. Fang Yuan sighed internally, the higher the rank of the GU worm, the rarer they were, and the more valuable they were. But in Fang Yuan's situation, he had no choice but to reverse refine these rank 7 immortal GU and turn them into rank 6. This way, they would suit Fang Yuan better and he could use them as he wished. My refinement path attainment is so-so. I should ask Lang Ya Land Spirit to do the immortal GU reverse refinement for me. Even though his personality changed, he is still long hair ancestor's obsession. As long as I pay the sect contribution points, he will do it. Fang Yuan analyzed in his mind. Reverse refining immortal GU, even though the success rate was higher than normal refinement, there was still a possibility of failing, and it was high. Thus, it was better to ask Lang Ya Land Spirit to do it instead of Fang Yuan himself. I wonder how many of these rank 7 sword path immortal GU I would have left after all of them are reverse refined. Even if all of them are left, just these sword path immortal GU would not be enough. Fang Yuan thought about the battle against the desolate beast mud monster again. Even though he used rank 7 sword path immortal GU, the enemy was a mud monster. Mud monsters were different from other beasts. Ordinary desolate beasts had flesh and blood, they had bones and skin, they had obvious weaknesses. But mud monsters were made of mud, but because the mud was filled with earth path Dao marks, they became different from normal mud. Fang Yuan's flying sword immortal GU was specialized in dealing fatal blows. Once used, a 3-meter-long silver sword would fly out. Even though it was sharp and could easily pierce the mud monster, it could not deal much damage. Thus, in that battle, even though Fang Yuan had the advantage, he was very unhappy. Eventually, even though he won, the expended green grape immortal essence greatly exceeded Fang Yuan's bottom line. Flying sword immortal GU was the most commonly used immortal GU of Bo Qing. Using it as the core, he created many immortal killer moves to deal with many situations. Earlier, if I had a sword path immortal killer move, I would be able to split flying sword immortal GU into countless swords, sending down a rain of them. The mud monster would not last one hit. Thus, Fang Yuan not only needed to reverse refine the sword path immortal GU, he also needed to collect sword path killer moves. As for creating them himself, he could forget about it. He could not use wisdom GU, or at least, he did not find the method yet, and his sword path attainment was almost non-existent. If not for these available sword path immortal GU, Fang Yuan would have tried to use blood path, strength path, or time path already. After pondering, Fang Yuan stopped traveling, sitting down on a rock. He contracted Lang Ya Land Spirit. Right now, Lang Ya Land Spirit was not so interested in refining GU. His focus was on expanding the hairy men race and trampling over humans, making hairy men the overlords of the 5 regions. But when Fang Yuan was willing to use his sect contribution points to ask the land spirit to do it, he agreed. As for sword path killer moves, Lang Ya Blessed Land had many in its collection. The original Lang Ya Land Spirit spent all his time researching GU recipes and refining GU. He had researched sword path GU as well. These killer moves were things that Lang Ya Land Spirit used for research. Looking over them, Fang Yuan could not decide what killer move to get. He changed the topic. First Supreme Elder, I am willing to use the final opportunity to ask you to refine an immortal GU. Even though Lang Ya Land Spirit had changed, the agreement between Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable and Long Hair Ancestor still had to be fulfilled. Fang Yuan had already used 2 chances, asking Lang Ya Land Spirit to refine Stargate GU and Second Aperture GU. Now, he made up his mind, using the final chance. Oh, what immortal GU? The land spirit asked. Fang Yuan's answer was quick and simple. Fixed Immortal Travel, Chapter 1039, Dark Assassination. Fixed Immortal Travel. Lang Ya Land Spirit was surprised, asking hesitantly. Fang Yuan knew what his concern was, it was that immortal GU were unique. He replied to the land spirit calmly, don't worry, I am mostly sure that fixed immortal travel no longer exists in the world. He had approached the current generation Nishang, asking a question about fixed immortal travel and other immortal GU. Fang Yuan asked, fixed immortal travel, spring autumn cicada and other immortal GU, were all of them either destroyed or preserved? Current generation Nishang answered, no. Thus, Fang Yuan confirmed 2 details. The first was that some of the immortal GU including fixed immortal travel were still remaining, while some were destroyed. The second was that Ying Wuxie had most likely discovered and broken the arrangements on his original body. The current generation Nishang was already over 50 years old. After using yes or no immortal GU once, he expended 50 years of lifespan. Thus, after answering one question, Ni Clan's old clan leader died on the spot. But this answer had already helped Fang Yuan greatly. In the worst-case scenario, Ying Wuxie has already broken my arrangements, he would hide himself and prevent me from finding him. He might not even be in southern border anymore. I am unable to contact He Lulan and Tai Bai Yunsheng, these two have either turned to his side or been killed by him. I wonder which immortal GU in my original body have already been destroyed. It is most likely that fixed immortal travel is already destroyed, because the special will that I designed would destroy it first. Fang Yuan made such an arrangement earlier because he was wary of fixed immortal travel's power, and also because he was afraid that he could not retrieve the special will in time after getting back his body, thus he set them to self-detonate one by one. The most likely thing is that after fixed immortal travel was destroyed, Ying Wuxie found there were problems and used methods to seal the other immortal GU temporarily. The two of us have swapped souls, his situation is worse than mine, he has no GU worms to manipulate. But to think he could seal my immortal GU, that means he either deceived He Lulan and Tai Bai Yunsheng or used the remaining forces Shadow Sect has. Since Shadow Sect was created by spectral soul demon Venerable and was in operation for tens of thousands of years, it was natural that they had remaining forces. Fang Yuan had already expected this. Shadow Sect exists in all 5 regions, even Zombie Alliance was a subsidiary force of Shadow Sect. The Battle of Yitian Mountain happened in southern border, most likely, Shadow Sect's forces in southern border suffered the greatest loss, while the other 4 regions are less affected. If fixed immortal travel is already destroyed, Ying Wuxie can't deal with me using just He Lulan and Tai Bai Yunsheng. He would need to gather Shadow Sect's remaining forces and come at me after he is prepared. Thus, he also wants to refine fixed immortal travel. Fang Yuan's new body was outstanding. When he thought about things, inspiration flowed with ease, there were no obstacles. And for him, fixed immortal travel was also something he needed urgently. Because of the regional walls, and the fact that Stargate GU had no effect on his new body, fixed immortal travel was the best tool for him to travel the 5 regions. As long as I have fixed immortal travel, I can return to Langya Blessed Land directly and store all of the immortal GU with me. My earlier cultivation resources can also be placed into the 9-5 Sovereign Immortal Aperture. I can even go into Earth Abyss and devour Star Form Blessed Land. No matter which one it was, it would greatly increase Fang Yuan's strength. But not only was Treasure Yellow Heaven too open and would lure many greedy people to Fang Yuan if he used it for transportation, just the processing fee that it charged was too high. If Fang Yuan used Treasure Yellow Heaven to transport the rank 8 Wisdom Sword GU, all of his savings would be expended, and it would not be enough. Are you sure you want to refine fixed immortal travel? Langya Land Spirit asked again. Fang Yuan sensed something amiss, he frowned. What, is this out of your capability? Langya Land Spirit shook his head. I am not going to go back on my agreement with Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable. But even though I have Divine Travel GU and the other supplementary GU materials, I lack the most critical material. Can you guess what it is? Fang Yuan thought and frowned. Is it the light of the immemorial era? That's right, Langya Land Spirit answered. No matter which GU recipe you try to use to refine fixed immortal travel, in all of them, the most crucial material is the light of the immemorial era. Light is something hard to capture and store. The immemorial antiquity era, it is earlier than the olden antiquity and remote antiquity era, it is the time when Renzu was alive. Back then, in the entire world, the only humans were Renzu and his 10 children. Not a single GU recipe will work. Fang Yuan knew that Langya Land Spirit would not lie, but he was unwilling to give up. Of course, Langya Land Spirit replied firmly, I have 2 fixed immortal travel immortal GU recipes. I have seen more than 10 fixed immortal travel remnant recipes, no matter which one, they cannot avoid the light of the immemorial era. The only difference is the amount of light needed in each recipe. Fixed immortal travel is a precious GU, it has great use. If not for this, it would have been refined long ago, how could you have the chance? Fang Yuan heard this and realized how lucky he was back then when refining fixed immortal travel. The light of the immemorial era at that time was formed using the extreme light GU in Xiaomang's hands. But now, Xiaomang was dead already. Because Xiao Shan and Xiaomang were pawns of Xiao Clan's supreme elder. These two were potential GU immortals, but yet they were mortals and simply pawns. Even after dying, they did not realize the truth of Yitian Mountain. Once Xiaomang died, extreme light GU was destroyed as well. Xiaomang is dead, his soul was not even spared, how can I get the light of the immemorial era? First Supreme Elder, if you use the light of wisdom, would you be able to deduce a recipe that does not use the light of the immemorial era? Fang Yuan asked again. Involving a rank 9 immortal GU, Langya Land Spirit was uncertain, he was only a rank 8 GU immortal even during his life. Even if he helped two Venerables refine GU, he was not clear about the exact details of wisdom GU. Forget it, even if the light of wisdom can be used to create an immortal GU recipe without the light of the immemorial era, I am no longer an immortal zombie, I cannot use it. I should go to Shao Clan and check. Xiao Meng's extreme light GU was found in a graveyard, I might find some clues there. Fang Yuan ended the conversation with Lang Yalan's spirit. He changed directions and rushed to Shao Clan. But before ending their talk, he did not forget to pass the souls from killing Ni Clan to Lang Yalan's spirit. Next, he asked for a list from Lang Yalan's spirit. The list was a request for the sword path killer moves in Lang Ya sect. Fang Yuan rushed to Shao Clan as he inspected these killer moves. Even though there were a number of sword path killer moves, most of them were mortal killer moves, there were only 3 immortal killer moves. Among them, one was an incomplete immortal killer move, like a remnant immortal GU recipe, it had a lot of value in research but could not be used directly. Among the other 2, one was for movement, another was for attack. The movement immortal killer move was called Sword Flash Thunder Sound, it only used 2 core immortal GU, they were Flash Sword GU and Rumbling Thunder GU. The offensive immortal killer move was called Dark Assassination, there were also 2 core immortal GU, Flying Sword immortal GU and Dark Limit immortal GU. Seeing the familiar Dark Limit immortal GU, Fang Yuan sighed internally. A long time ago, he had once sought this immortal GU, but he did not succeed. After Fairy Zhongyu died, Dark Limit immortal GU was destroyed as well. If I had Dark Limit immortal GU, together with Flying Sword immortal GU, I would be able to use this Dark Assassination. It is a pity. While Fang Yuan was thinking, a voice came from afar, "Friend, please wait." Fang Yuan turned around and saw a desolate beast Qi Grand Lion running over, there was a huge red chair on the lion's back, 2 GU immortals were seated. Central Continent, Earth Abyss. The soul beast howled, emitting a wretched growl. Be careful, Soul Howl immortal GU has activated again. Ying Wuxie warned. A formless sound wave created air currents in the air, sweeping towards Ying Wuxie, He Lu Lan, and Tai Bai Yunsheng. The 3 had no choice but to retreat gradually. This wild Soul Howl immortal GU was rank 7, living inside a soul beast. Ying Wuxie, He Lu Lan, and Tai Bai Yunsheng forced the soul beast into a dangerous situation, the immortal GU reacted and unleashed its power, giving the soul beast enough time and space to retaliate. How can this be? This soul beast is only a desolate beast, how can it have a wild rank 7 GU? Tai Bai Yunsheng's 7 orifices were bleeding as he called out. The other 2 were in bad shape as well, their heads were spinning, their souls were heavily injured. Ying Wuxia's expression was ugly. It was truly a crisis out of nowhere. Earlier, it was still fine, but suddenly, a soul beast charged into Shadow Sect's territory. The activation of Soul Howl immortal GU does not require immortal essence, it uses the foundation of the soul. This desolate soul beast must have been at ancient desolate level earlier. It had escaped after going through intense battle, and because Soul Howl immortal GU activated, it fell from an ancient desolate beast to a desolate beast. Ying Wuxie answered Tai Bai Yunsheng with a hoarse voice. At the same time, 2 words appeared in his mind, Heaven's will. My Shadow Sect's plan failed, and I defied Heaven's will. After rebirth, I did not go to Fang Yuan and perish together with him. Thus, Heaven's will is coming after me now. The way of heaven emphasized on balance between all living beings. Earlier, Shadow Sect was hidden and tried to evade Heaven's will, they operated in secret and faced less obstruction. But now, Ying Wuxie was completely exposed, Heaven's will prepared and lured the soul beast to them. Heaven's will is everywhere. Back then, when Fang Yuan refined fixed immortal travel, it arranged the situation for him nicely, sending the light of the immemorial era to him. Now, it is trying to eliminate me. Do I really need to destroy the spring-autumn cicada in my body? Ying Wuxie was hesitant. We cannot get close to this soul beast. At this point, why are you still concealing your strength? Why aren't you using the GU formation? He Lu Lan transmitted, urging. Chapter 1040. Fang Yuan vs. Qi Zai. Friend, please wait. From the desolate beast Qi Grand Lion, Qi Zai's voice came over. Fang Yuan stopped and gazed back. After he was far away from Rotten Mud Mountain, he had dispelled the immortal killer move familiar face. Rank 8 immortal GU attitude GU consumed mental energy, if it were maintained for a long time, it would wear out Fang Yuan's mind. Moreover, because Fang Yuan's modified familiar face lacked change form immortal GU, It led to an increase in the quantity of the GU worms, with over 1,000 supplementary mortal GU, and it also required more time and concentration to activate these GU worms. So when Qizai saw Fang Yuan from afar, he did not feel he was the culprit, he only had some doubts at most. As they got closer, Qi also saw Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan wore a white robe and looked like he was not marred by a speck of dust. His skin was white like snow and his eyes twinkled like stars, with long dark hair that reached down to his waist. Even though Qi was already old, over 50 years old, when she saw Fang Yuan, her eyes brightened and she thought, "This GU Immortal Senior has such a refined and graceful bearing, and sagely demeanor, I have rarely seen anything like it before in my life." "Senior, why did you call me?" Fang Yuan's expression was tranquil as he asked this with his fists cupped in front of him. He did not use familiar face and his rank 6 cultivation level was clearly displayed. While Qizai was emitting rank 7 aura. In this world, the strong were respected, Fang Yuan's greeting was natural and graceful. If he had his hands behind his back and showed an arrogant attitude, that would be unusual behavior. Qizai also inwardly praised Fang Yuan's conduct, his expression softening slightly as he said, "It is only to verify some things." He then shook his sleeve, from where a mud ball shot out. The mud ball started expanding and soon turned into the size of an elephant. After another transformation, it turned into the shape of Nijian. Fang Yuan's gaze became slightly dark. Nijian gazed towards Fang Yuan. At first he had a puzzled look, it soon turned into incomparably intense hatred. Fang Yuan's appearance was hugely different, but deep down, a sense of intuition told Nijian that the young man in front of him was the culprit. It's you, you demon, you forced my grandpa to die and even slaughtered my whole clan." As he said this, Nijian charged towards Fang Yuan. Oh, Qizai's expression changed, his gaze turning cold as he sized up Fang Yuan again. Fang Yuan felt Qizai's gaze piercing his body like a needle. With a cold snort, Fang Yuan waved his arm and immediately clouds started to surge out, covering the scenery as he quickly made his retreat. Sure enough, there are an endless number of methods developed by GU Immortals, it's virtually impossible to defend against all of them effectively. They could actually find me. The enemy was a rank 7 GU Immortal, of a higher rank than Fang Yuan. There was no doubt that this was a strong enemy. Fang Yuan immediately had the intention to retreat. "Stop," Qizai shouted as he noticed this. His right hand took on the shape of an eagle claw and swept ferociously at the clouds and the mist in the sky. Swoosh, it was like the sound of a huge wave. The clouds and the mist that filled the sky instantly dissipated. Fang Yuan, who was still retreating, was exposed. Qizai faced Fang Yuan and opened his mouth, inhaling air. Fang Yuan immediately felt an enormous suction force over his whole body, causing his speed to rapidly decline. At this moment, the mudman, Nijian, had already flown close to him. Fang Yuan's gaze flashed, his expression was indifferent. Die. Nijian punched his fist, it caused a gust of wind to blow. The fist's momentum was terrifying, as if it would destroy anything it struck. Nijian was originally only a rank 2 GU master, but after being killed by the beast group, he was revived as a mudman by Qizai using a mud monster corpse. His strength had thus increased rapidly and was at the level of a desolate beast, and could match ordinary rank 6 GU immortals. Just from this, one could see how strange and terrifying the rank 7 GU immortal Qizai's method was. Nijian's fist ruthlessly charged at Fang Yuan. But the next moment, Fang Yuan's figure dispersed, turning into clouds and mist. Qi exclaimed in surprise as she had not expected such a scene. Qizai, however, showed no surprise on his face, he looked to his right as he flicked his finger. Mortal killer move, divine flick. A pellet of qi, the size of a thumb, moved towards Fang Yuan so quickly that he actually was not able to dodge it. This time, his real body was exposed. Qizai let out a breath. Immediately, a thick and translucent rotating current of qi appeared around Nijian's waist. The current of qi constantly revolved around his waist, and Nijian's speed was multiplied a few times over. Hand over your life, Nijian roared as he once again charged towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan frowned. His whole body was covered in lion fur armor, the divine flick just now did not cause him any harm and only forced him to appear. A Qi Path GU Immortal. He thought to himself. The history of Qi Path was older than even Strength Path, and its decline was also much more extreme than Strength Path. Fang Yuan had not expected he would actually run into a rare Qi Path GU Immortal in southern border. No wonder he was chased and the truth of his massacre of Ni clan was exposed. In Qi Path, there naturally were secret methods passed down over countless years which Fang Yuan did not understand clearly. I only massacred Ni clan, what does it have to do with these two GU immortals? In my previous life's memories, there were no GU immortal ancestors of Ni clan around. Fang Yuan was puzzled. Ah, Ni Jian charged over once again. Fang Yuan was starting to feel a slight headache. He had already fought against a desolate beast mud monster, they did not have any fatal weakness. Even using the rank 7 flying sword immortal GU had little effect. But this did not mean Fang Yuan had no way to deal with it. He swayed lightly as he pounced forward, he raised his hands, which were covered in a layer of cold white frost. Fang Yuan lightly struck Ni Jian's body with his palms. Ni Jian's offensive was crude, while Fang Yuan's movement was like a leaf swaying in the wind, nimble and graceful. Ni Jian was quite lacking in battle experience, he was not able to even touch Fang Yuan's clothes. On the contrary, Fang Yuan's moves were nimble and refined, his frosted palms continuously striking Ni Jian's body. Soon, Ni Jian was covered in a layer of white frost, his speed sharply reduced, moreover the translucent current of qi rotating around his waist had already been dissipated by Fang Yuan's attacks. Fang Yuan had immortal GU but they were all rank 7, he could not use them lightly. So he used the mortal killer move, lion fur armor, to pass this hurdle. And the surging clouds before as well as his current hands of frost were both superior mortal killer moves. The former originated from Tai Bai Yun Sheng, while the latter was obtained from Shui Song Zi. Tai Bai Yun Sheng primarily cultivated time path while cultivating cloud path as a secondary path. He would often spar with Fang Yuan, and Fang Yuan was thus able to grasp his mortal methods. And before his rebirth, Fang Yuan had captured and searched Shui Songzi's soul. Back then, Shui Songzi's soul had been tampered by Shadow Sect's side. Fang Yuan could not get information about Shadow Sect's spectral soul demon Venerable was, after all, the founder of Soul Path. However, Shui Songzi's own process of growth during life, his cultivation insights and other experiences of his were all probed out by Fang Yuan. These were all used by Fang Yuan. As for the GU worms needed for the mortal killer moves, they were all taken from Lang Ya Land Spirit. And when Fang Yuan massacred Ni clan, he had freely practiced with them against the desolate beast mud monster. Qi Zai's expression sank when he saw Ni Jian, with rank 6 battle strength, being toyed around by Fang Yuan. He again used his mortal killer move, Divine Flick, to send out countless pellets of qi. These pellets of Wi were extremely fast. Fang Yuan was only able to dodge a few before he could not dodge anymore, and had to use his lion fur armor to block them head-on. Lion fur armor had extremely strong defense, somewhat surpassing Qi Zai's expectations. He snorted as he changed his method. From afar, he made a cutting motion with his hand towards Fang Yuan's direction. Every time he made this movement, a blade of qi would instantly be formed. Lion fur armor could only endure 2 slashes before Fang Yuan had to use other methods. A layer of black, oil-like sticky liquid appeared on the lion fur armor's surface. The power of the blades of qi immediately lowered when they struck the black oil, the sharpness was greatly reduced, and when they impacted on the lion fur armor, the effect was reduced by 60%. This black, oil-like defensive killer move was from He Cheng. Fang Yuan had obtained this killer move when he searched He Cheng's soul and was using it now. Most of the killer moves he had obtained by soul searching had been trained countless times by their respective GU masters. Although they could not raise Fang Yuan's attainment level, these cultivation insights could allow Fang Yuan to have shortcuts to their results. Fang Yuan only needed to train with these mortal killer moves a little to use them with ease. As Qi Zai saw this, he snorted, 2 gusts of fire qi puffed out of his nose. The fire qi dispersed in the air, turning into an inferno that rushed towards Fang Yuan. At the same time, Ni Jian was fighting with everything he had. Fang Yuan continued to hit with his palms against the mudman. At this time, the inferno was already right in front of him. He laughed as he activated a cloud path killer move. Immediately, 9 rings of clouds appeared around him. This was Tai Bai Yun Sheng's defensive killer move, 9 cloud ring. The inferno was completely blocked by the rings of clouds and absorbed. 4 formerly white rings of clouds were dyed red. Fang Yuan stretched out both hands and grabbed at the air. Gusts of air gathered in the center of his palms and quickly formed into 2 black spheres. Mortal killer move, Dark Vortex. Fang Yuan flew forward, his hands continuously moving as spheres of dark vortexes were fired towards Qi Zai. Qi He, who was beside Qi Zai, exclaimed in shock when she sensed the danger hidden within the dark vortexes. Qi Zai counterattacked, using blades of qi, pellets of qi as well as the fire qi he snorted out of his nose. Both sides went at each other, neither yielding even a step. He was getting dazed, unable to keep up with battle methods of GU immortals that were on display. She had just ascended to an immortal. Mortal battles were almost always carried out on the ground. It would never be like this where they flew up and down in a fast-paced movement. I am almost certain he is genuinely a Chi Path GU immortal. Fang Yuan observed while he fought, gathering intelligence. The battle had lasted for so long, but Qi Zai was still sitting comfortably on the back of the Qi Grand Lion. Even when Fang Yuan's dark vortexes and other killer moves bypassed his flurry of attacks and struck his body, they would be blocked easily by his condensed qi. Qi Zai had the upper hand, but he was far from at ease in his mind. What is going on? This guy, what path does he cultivate? The more Qi Zai battled, the more puzzled he was. He was somewhat confused. The mortal killer moves Fang Yuan used all had the signs of being amplified by Dao marks. But the killer moves already covered many paths like Wind Path, Cloud Path, Dark Path, Strength Path and other paths. Qi Zai was really puzzled. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation.